sport fans watching around the world. This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Let's get straight into the episode.
Yeah, we heading for the sun. Shawty got my high, I ain't tripping for the funds. Yeah, I won't start, I ain't tripping, I'm a stun.
Alright y'all, today's a Monday and Mondays are for Docs. Thank you for clicking or tapping and let's start today's spew. And guys, you've read the title of the video, you already know who it is. I'm very happy to be welcoming to the Doxcast for the very first time, Nickeh Films.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Thank you for coming, bro. Thank you.
Anytime.
I'm gonna try and look at these notes, alright? I said I wouldn't, but like there is a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk to you about. But first things first, thank you for coming all the way out here, alright?
Man, this is like where I used to live, so it's cool, always cool to come back out to the Hawkesbury.
Was it like nostalgic or you just,
Man, I don't know, like I just love always coming back, eh? It's not often I come out this way, but
yeah.
It's always, a good feeling.
I seen, you know what I actually did see? I did see, as I was researching for you, some of the very first posts you made. You made like a mad car video and I could tell it was shot up near the Air Force Base main strip.
The GTR?
Yeah.
Bro, that was far out. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, you got some old posts, bro. Yeah.
I've been around a minute, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy. Far out. I don't even know where to start. We may as well start with the obvious stuff, you know, like, obviously, I know you through the content that you make, your factory out there at 27 Project, the collaborations you make with some massive big artists and brands, you know, it's all exciting stuff. But I actually found more excitement the further back I went because the content that you've made when you were younger was actually responsible for a lot of my culture. Like the scooter videos, the skatepark videos, all that stuff. I grew up watching those clips and those videos. So it's awesome to meet the guy who made those, you know?
Oh, that's sick, man.
It's unbelievable. I actually started to get chills watching some of the videos. I was like, there's no way, bro. So when did you first ever get into, what do you call it? Camera work, videography, photography?
Kind of like, so my birthday is 5 days after Christmas. And so every year I'd get like one big present from my family.
Okay.
And when I was 12 that year, it was a camera. And I'd like played with the family's like video camera and stuff, you know, filming holidays, that kind of stuff. And then I got this camera and it was actually weird. Like, you know, like when you're a kid, you want to know what you're getting for Christmas. So I'm like bugging my family, like, what'd you get me? What'd you get me?
Yeah.
And the clue that my grandma gave me was you could make a career out of this one.
Oh.
Like she was just like she had no idea. But so anyway, Christmas morning comes, open it, and it's a little like one of those little point and shoot cameras.
Yeah.
And growing up, I was always a skateboarder. So first thing I do is put it on the ground, film myself doing tricks. You know, that one thing leads to another, bro. I had a memory card, and on the old cameras, you could actually like, I'm sure you could do it on cameras today too, but you could trim the clip. So I'd like spend, let's say 15 minutes trying a trick and then get rid of 14 minutes of it and just keep the part where I landed the trick.
Yeah, nice.
So I had this memory card full of all these tricks, but I didn't know I could, you know, put them on the computer or anything like that. And then one day in school, actually, they were talking about Windows Movie Maker, which was like an OG video editor. And I put all the clips on there, made a little video, took it to school, and showed all my mates. And, you know, then they all wanted videos, obviously. So I just kept like practicing. I tend to hurt myself skateboarding a lot. So
Yeah.
I was always in a cast, filming, whatever it was. And then, I don't know, bro, I just like become obsessed with it, hey. And I had no intentions of making a career out of it. I didn't know it was possible, hanging out at the skate park, to make a career out of that. But I found, I guess, like success at a pretty young age, like 15, 16. I started traveling the world, making those scooter videos that you talk about. Yeah. It honestly feels like a different chapter of my life now, bro. Like the circle I hang out with now has no idea about that part of my life. Wow. And then when I do hang out with those guys, they don't really have much idea of what I'm doing now except for, you know, what I post and that. So it's kind of like, it feels like a different life, bro.
Yeah.
But, no, they were definitely, those foundation years were like crucial to obviously where I am now.
I suppose it could have been possible, I guess, to achieve. I just assumed you grew up around Penrith and kind of had an interest in videography and photography and stuff. But to know that is the origin story, dude, is nothing but revolutionary for me.
Yeah.
I love that. It's so dope. So I noticed that a lot of the posts you're making earlier on were with what I know now to be some of the great scooter riders of today, especially people like R. Willie and things like that. That's phenomenal. How long were you skating and all that stuff before you actually got that camera? Were you doing it for like a couple of years? Were you just getting into it?
It was so I was 12. I turned 12 in far out. Showing my age here, 2005. So I turned 12 in 2005. So whatever year Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 came out was when I started skateboarding. I think it was about maybe 2 or 3 years before that.
I think it was like 2002 or 2003.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Pro Skater 4 is that what you said?
Yeah.
That was a great game.
So
bro.
I got that game and for Christmas, and I was just obsessed with it. And then I had like Kmart skateboards and that kind of stuff. And I had a single mum growing up, so she couldn't really afford like all the fancy stuff. But I remember a birthday one year, she saved up and got me an Element skateboard, and I was like Element when we were 12 was like the thing, right?
Yeah.
So I was just obsessed with it, man. I was never really good at it. Like I got by, but it was more the I don't know. There must have been something in the water out west because, as you said, some of the biggest names in the world came out of Penrith. So I was just lucky to be around those people. And in terms of R. Willie, we actually met when we were young, bro, like maybe 14, online. And there used to be this thing called Team Aussie Scooters, which was like do you remember back in the days of like forums? Like before social media, it was all forums. So we all met on that, and everyone would send me the footage, and I'd put together these like team montage videos. And then one time, I would have been about 15. Our Willie's like, oh, I'm going to see my dad in Victoria, so I'm going to be driving through Sydney. Let's link up at a skate park. So it's still on my YouTube channel today. There's a video we made the first day we met. And then it was only like a couple months later, bro, that Mad Gear came out, and they were like, we want to make a team. And they signed him. They signed a few of my other friends. And then one day I got an email, and they thought I was like an adult filming these videos. And they were like, oh, we want to hire your team to come to America. I was like, team? I remember I was in industrial arts at school too, and I like opened this email, and it was like pretty much an invitation to America. And as I said, single mom, and I'm an only child too. So I go home that day, I put my bag down, I'm like, Mom, I'm off to California. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, this bloke on the internet's going to take me. And she's like, what? No way. And then the owner of Mad Gear ended up coming to Sydney, meeting us all. And then, yeah, the end of that year, Willie and I and a bunch of our mates ended up in America.
Yeah,
Sick.
that's fucking so dope, bro. Because I remember when Mad Gear first came out, because I was actually probably just getting into scooters, I think, at that age when Mad Gear first dropped the MGP for the first, that green one, that nostalgic green one. And I remember being my mates, because we were all following, Ryan Williams, and I've got to be honest, there was a bunch of other scooter riders that I don't remember today.
Probably
but
Cody Donovan.
Oh, yeah, Cody Donovan.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, that was a good, far out, that took me back. But I remember us talking about, did you hear these boys are getting signed to MGP? And we were still upgrading from our Razor Kicks to our MGPs for the first time. And so if you were like, 16, 17 when that email came through? Or
I was 15.
15.
I turned 16 in America.
Damn,
I had my
okay.
16th birthday party in America.
Yeah.
Wild.
Okay, so you'd already gone through this whole period of the forums and the Oz Scooter team and things like that. So you were you doing all this stuff for free at that point? Okay.
But as I said, man, like I had no intentions of making it. I had no idea that I could make money. I remember the first time I did make money from it, I was like blown away.
Yeah.
And then, the next few years I was just with MGP. And to be honest, bro, like now if you have a big YouTube channel, you're the man. But back then it wasn't a cool thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, bro, I used to cop it. Like, people thought I was the weirdest kid. I had some good friends, but some other people were just like, because that wave of scootering happened. Mad Gear kind of came at the end of the initial wave. So it was like that thing where it was super popular at school. And then it obviously grew much bigger, but the school kids didn't find it cool anymore. So I was the weird kid. They were all the footy kids. I was a skatepark kid,
Yeah.
So I didn't talk about it at school. But every school holidays, I'd be like off to London or off to America, or we went to Asia, like filming these scooter videos. And it was just like, it was like it was kind of like I was keeping it hidden. But it was a weird time, eh?
Yeah. That's crazy that you're almost living two lives, bro. Like the kids at school weren't even aware what you were doing, but for me, and what feels like a lot of the rest of maybe Australia, but definitely Western Sydney, was like was appreciating, was admiring, was a fan, and you were like not telling the kids. It
was actually funny, man. I remember I must have been in year 12. We went to Jamboree. Was it Jamboree or Luna Park? It was one of the two. We went to both, but I can't remember which one it happened at.
Mm-hmm.
And I got mobbed by kids, and my teacher, my year advisor, was like, "What was that about?" And I'm like, "Oh, I do this stuff on YouTube," and then they had no idea I'd been missing school and stuff, but they didn't actually understand what for. They knew I'd make videos with my friends, but they didn't know to what extent it was.
Yeah.
And then they see all these kids like taking photos with me and shit, and they're like, "What the fuck's going on?" So that was pretty funny. But
wow. So in those initial days when you were first putting together everyone's clips and they were sending them to you, you were posting them on YouTube, what type of views were those videos getting, and were those views helping you stay motivated to be like, shit, look what we can do?
100%. And like, keep in mind that this is still pre-socials, I'd say.
Oh, this would have been.
There was Facebook. Instagram was very new.
Because I think Instagram was 2010 or 2011.
Yeah, I think it was 2010.
Yeah.
Everything was, so there wasn't a way to really promote yourself except for forums and word of mouth and that kind of stuff.
Even YouTube, sorry to cut you off, but even YouTube was barely even had Vivo yet.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Music videos.
And that's what I mean. Like, people didn't understand it, and that's why I thought it was weird. But I remember, so Cody and I made a video together in maybe September, October of 2009. So this is right before we went to America. And I woke up the next morning and had 10,000 views, which overnight on YouTube that long ago was like 1 million today, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And that was the video that, like, from that point, it was just like this on the scale, you know what I mean? Like, I remember we went to America a couple months later. People were coming up to me, like, these scooter riders that I had looked up to in America were like, "Man, that video you did with Cody was sick." And I was like, fuck. That's cool. And so my point is, that kind of feedback was the currency for me. That's what was driving me. It was like, man, I can make a video and this guy in America thinks I'm the man. Like, that to me was worth more than money. And I didn't really we lived on $10 a day back then. You'd get I think it was like a $7.95 or $8.95 Domino's pizza. And then you get the Coles brand drink, and in the morning we chuck it in the freezer section, go to the skate park, come back and buy it for the 69 cents or whatever out of the freezer, and it'd be nice and cold. Yeah. So making money just wasn't, I don't know, I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't had major responsibilities yet.
Of course.
So to me, that was worth more than earning money.
Yeah, I remember those days too, being younger. You know, I swear $7 could get you far, bro. We get a stunner meal, you go past, you get yourself like a bacon and cheese roll, and hit the skate park, bro, and you're sweet for like 100%. 15 hours, you know? That's sick. I was into, I guess, skating for a little period in my life, scooters for a little period. Nothing that I would ever be considered good at, let alone great at. But I understand the feeling of being at the skate park, the environment, especially filming things, putting it up there. What was your passion behind, because you were into skateboarding first and then you started making the videos because you were into skateboarding. Did making the videos quickly take over your passion for the skating itself?
Oh, 100%. As I said, I was never, like, my friends were really good and I was never that good. So, but I was good at the video stuff. So I was like, yeah, it was definitely like, I still like to skate. I was never really much of a scooter rider. I rode a little bit, but it was always skateboarding for me. All my friends were scooter riders. So, yeah, it was a no-brainer for me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have like that. I didn't wake up and go, I want to go skate today. But I'd be editing until 4 a.m. and then wake up ready to film again. So.
Yeah, that's mad. But I did notice that you were actually all right at skateboarding, because I've seen a video of you landing like triple kick flips and things like that.
Yeah,
so.
I wasn't bad, but I wasn't like, you know.
It wasn't one of these like crazy hawkers and shit like that.
I wasn't being offered sponsorship deals or anything.
Yeah. Sponsorships was always something, you might be able to help me out, that was like, I guess it's almost like mythology in a way when I was younger at a skate park. Like, oh, these guys getting sponsored by that, these guys getting sponsored by that. So obviously MGP's come through and sponsored a bunch of kids that you're familiar with, but were many people being sponsored back in the day for things like scooters and skateboards?
I was like, because back in the day, before socials again, it was always like skaters would make their sponsor me tapes and then send them off and then hope for the best. So I think it like kind of got this, that was everyone's drive, was to be sponsored.
Yeah.
and it was a big deal when someone got sponsored. And I think that's what helped the boys a lot. If we went to these companies with good content, they'd be like, "Oh, this is sick." So yeah, it was definitely like, you know, the talk of the talk. The first question any kid asks you when you pull up to the skate park is, "Can you backflip and are you sponsored?"
Yeah. Or what bearings you got?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a big deal back in the day. In hindsight, it's crazy to me that these companies were making millions of dollars and kids were happy with a free sticker and a t-shirt, but
Yeah, you're so right. No one's getting paid, eh?
no, not for a lot. People eventually got paid, but not for a long time.
Yeah, nice. So when you said that first time you ever got that paycheck, what was that for? The first time you ever got paid for some of the stuff you're filming?
It would have been a Mad Gear job. I don't remember the exact time, but I do remember the first time I got paid off YouTube, and it was like $150.
Yeah.
I was like, far out. This is $150 when you're 17. Back then, I feel like expectations are different these days, but $150 when you're 16, 17 for doing something you love is like $1 billion.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I remember the first, because when I left high school, I was still getting like little bits of money here and there. And then I was like, oh, nah, I still had no belief that I could turn this into a career because I didn't know how. I knew I didn't want to go to film school because I hated school. I hated learning. So I was actually going to become an electrician because my uncle was an electrician and it just seemed like a safe career. And then my grandfather, he's been like my role model my whole life, still is. He kind of said to me, man, like you can do that whenever. I went and sat the exam for like a government apprenticeship, got really good marks. He's like, you can go back and do that whenever. But what you got right now is like unique. So I went back to the drawing board and I spoke to Mad Gear and I was like, look, I want to keep filming, but I need to make money. I remember they put me on a contract that was maybe like 20, 25 G's a year. Mm-hmm. But again, when you're 17 and you see $25,000, you're like,
Yeah.
So, I ended up, thankfully, he got in my ear and stuck with them. I think I stayed with them for like a year or two out of high school.
Yeah.
And the money ended up going up eventually. And yeah.
Damn, so you're employed by MGP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was like 17, I started with them.
Damn, that's awesome. So this first trip that you've gone away on with the boys, you went to America. What was the environment like there? Like, were they organizing the whole tour, whatever you were doing? Like, this is the hotel you're staying at. This is what was that? What was it like?
It was actually funny, man, because Mike Horn, who owns Mad Gear, he's ex-military. So at that dinner when he come and met our parents, he's like, I'm ex-military. The kids are going to make their beds every day. They're not going to get up to anything. So I'm excited to go. I'm like, fuck, like what's going to go on here? And then, bro, it was nothing like that. We ended up partying. I remember New Year's Eve. So my birthday is the day before New Year's. So we kind of celebrated my birthday. We had like drinks at we had like an Airbnb in I can't even remember what the place was called, in California. And the next night's New Year's and there was a party going on. And I remember we turned up, everyone there was like 21, 22. We're like 14 to 17.
Yeah.
But they let us in because we were Aussies.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it was just like, bro, it was the biggest. I still remember. So there used to be a scooter rider in America, Matt McKean. And he was like the street god. Everyone loved him. And I remember just talking to him about Summer Heights High. And I was just like wigging out. I'm like, I'm on the other side of the world now talking to Matt McKean about Summer Heights High. I don't know why I still remember that. But
Yeah.
it was just like a very surreal experience. I remember as a kid, this sounds fucked up, but I'd always walk to school just wishing that like the skate fantasy was that the tour van pulls over and says, jump in.
Yeah.
And I was living that. And but to me, that was like the peak. I was like, I've made it. Like there's nothing that can get better than this. And then in hindsight, that was like the first step.
Yeah, fuck, bro. I'm already buzzing. I'm G'd up for this story. So you were about 17 when you were full-time employed by these guys, but you went on this holiday for 15, was it? 15? Or?
Yeah. Yeah. So there was 2 years there where it was the occasional trip. They were based in Melbourne, so we go to Melbourne a lot. Can't remember the exact timeline, but we went to New Zealand at one point. I'm pretty sure that was while I was still in high school. and then a London trip as well.
Yeah. Okay. That's sweet. So in this period of, let's call it downtime, I guess, between trips, you've already gone on your big one and then you have been full-time employed. You got all these little trips in between. What was the environment like now when you were going around just Australia? So you and the boys going to skate parks, you're filming the things. Is it like almost like celebrities events of the situation, you know, like everyone knows who you are, or nothing's hit that stage yet?
So I don't remember. I don't know if you've ever seen the video, but we used to do these videos called the East Coast Tours.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like 15-minute videos. We did 2 of them. The first one we went on was pretty wild. Like there was like 100 kids at every skate park. But that video like set the pace for the next one. And when we did the next East Coast tour, it was crazy, bro. There was like hundreds of kids at every skate park. And then, so we were kind of like, it was really weird for all of us because the kids that were on Mad Gear were all very alike, same kind of upbringings. We were kind of like, you know, a lot of us had single moms. We were kind of like, I guess, I don't believe anyone in the original team was like well off in any way. So it was just like mind blowing to us. And then we went to the UK for a tour, and that's when it was like thousands, because it's weird.
Wow.
Most of our following was actually like the UK was like huge for that stuff. I remember we turned up at this one skate park that was like probably 1,500, 2,000 kids. And kids were coming up to me like, it just used to be weird for me because I was always behind the camera. And then these kids would come up to me and know things about me. And I'm like, but on the other side of the world. And I was like, how do you know that? And it was, I don't know, man, it was still a very strange part of my life.
Yeah.
Obviously very grateful for it, but yeah,
Wow.
it was weird.
So at this point now, you've started to film and you've got yourself a name and you're pretty much with the boys, you know, you're all growing together. People are recognizing you. Were you doing much filming for things outside of skatepark videos?
Nah.
And at what stage did you end up getting that mad camera with the fucking stand? I swear, I've seen a photo. Yeah.
That was until a lot later. But my transition from a skate park to like general content, I guess, was as I said, I had this following. My friends had big followings, and all of a sudden, all these corporate companies wanted in because they see a demographic with a huge audience, and they're like, "Oh, we want a piece of that." Mm-hmm. So the first kind of transition for me was Arnott's approached me. I did a massive thing with them. We did like a 3-4 episode deal on YouTube. Ended up getting like 10 million views, bro. Huh. And they paid me $2,000, which like is insane. But back then I was like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I did that. And then that kind of like sparked this thing in my head where I was like, this is how I'm going to make the money. It's thinking outside the box. So then that went on a tangent. We ended up working with like Bose. We did something with KFC. Like we were just I was like writing these emails and sending them to everybody. And it wasn't like we were making millions of dollars or anything, but we'd get by doing that. So that kind of taught me how to work with corporate clients. And, you know, I remember being like, it was the day that Beats by Dre sold to Apple. Yeah. I remember that because I was at Bose headquarters in Sydney and they were like losing their mind. Like, fuck. They're just like, that's such a good deal. So then I remember the marketing guy being like, this is why I need you and this is why we need to start doing things different. So that was cool. I ended up doing, I did a scooter video with Dylan Morrison in Sydney for Bose. Then I went to America with Poppy Olsen. She's a female skateboarder. We ended up going to like Tony Hawk's private skate park and stuff. That was wild.
I've seen a photo of you with Tony Hawk. Yeah. So you're still young at this point.
I'm still young. I'm like 17, 18, 19.
Wow. I thought you might. Yeah.
It was before. I know I wasn't 21 because I couldn't drink in America. And then we did Jared Hughes. He's an Olympic snowboarder. We went to Italy together. That was with Bose as well. So that's when I was like, this is like the next level. Yeah. I can get other people to pay for the production, pay me, pay my friends. And still, I wasn't earning crazy money, but that's when it like clicked in my head. Yeah. That's when I started going outside of action sports because these companies that I was including action sports on were like, oh, do you want to try and shoot this for us as well? Mm-hmm. And then yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So when you first had this approach from Arnott's, what was that? What was that 4-part YouTube series about? Was it anything to do with scooters, skateboard, or anything like that?
Bro, it was it's actually pretty funny. I'll have to send you a link. I'm pretty sure I could find it today, but it was called the Shapes Drone Drop. So it was this idea that they built this rig for like, do you remember the old DJI Phantom drones that everybody had? They were like a big box thing.
Yeah.
So we built a rig for that, and the idea was I was dropping shapes to my friends at the skate park via drone, which is
Yeah.
actually illegal.
Okay.
But
yeah.
so the first episode, I think the funny thing about my YouTube channel is we did all these like skits, but no one could act, like horrible actors. But that's what made it funny.
Yeah.
Especially Cody, like that guy's just so funny without even trying. So the first one's like we're at my dad actually and my grandfather owned the go-kart track at Wilberforce.
Mm-hmm.
So we're there in the first scene and we're like, my friend Adam's like, oh, I'm hungry. And then my friend Woz is like, oh, we should get some shapes. And then they're like an idea gets revealed. And then so they build the rig. And then the second episode, we drop shapes to a friend at the skate park. And then the third episode, bro, do you know Harry Tate, that kid on TikTok? And he wears the
with
tiny glasses?
Yeah.
He's in the third one, but he's like 9 years old. And
What?
bro, we drop.
Harry Tate, the guy with the curly hair, the yellow sunnies.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So he was like, he would always hang out with us, but he was way younger than us. It was funny as.
What the hell? I thought
Bro,
he was an American guy.
No. His dad's American, but he grew up in Sydney. So
What the fuck?
I'll have to show you the video. The third episode of the Shapes thing is I drop shapes to this DJ event that's at the go-kart track. And like everyone's dancing and just eating shape. Bro, they got like, they're horrible videos. But they got so much like, we even did another one. The fourth part was like, you remember like Games of Scoot or Games of Skate?
Yeah.
It was that, but it was a game of shapes.
Oh, yeah. Dude, this is creative shit. Who thought of all that?
Oh, that was me.
Oh, bro, that's great.
And my friends as well. Like I would pitch it and then we just, without even knowing it, bunch of little teenagers like throwing ideas at each other.
Yeah.
But bro, like we had receipts. Like that Game of Shapes video even got like 500,000 views. You can't pay. Oh, back then you couldn't pay for that.
Yeah. Damn. And how, because that was only still, I guess that was still kind of early days to YouTube. It definitely wasn't anything like it is now.
No, nothing.
So how were videos like that even getting traction? Was it just part of the ether? Like there was no algorithm and shit back
There was
then?
no algorithm, bro. It was just all subscribers. So we were just all feeding off each other's socials. And it's crazy though, bro. Like there's no way in hell I could put a YouTube video out today and get 500,000 views.
Yeah, that's major, isn't it?
And then it's kind of cool though. Like, do you remember Tanner Fox?
I remember the
American
name.
YouTuber.
Tanner Fox. I remember the name.
He was a scooter kid, and then he blew up to, I think he's got 10 million subs now.
Yeah.
And I had him at the studio last year.
Man.
And he's like, man, like if it wasn't for your channel, I wouldn't have started doing videos. So
Wow.
it's cool to know that like what we were doing back then
Yeah.
kind of inspired other people.
Well, look at Harry Tate. Like, I can't believe you said he was 9 in that video.
Bro, I'll show you the video after this. It's
That's so
so funny. He's
funny.
like, I'm pretty sure he's like doing the worm and stuff. He's always been like, I always knew that kid would do something.
Yeah, okay.
He's always been like, a
He's
lot of
groovy,
energy.
He's
Yeah,
so
bro.
groovy, bro. I
And
remember his first videos walking through with
Yeah.
his sunnies.
So he lives in New York now, but he came back, it's probably a year and a half, 2 years ago now. And we shot a commercial together for Strike Bowling,
Yeah.
which was like a 360 for us because I remember this kid being a kid and now he's getting paid. Oh, we shot a Hungry Jack's commercial together too. And I remember he told me how much he got paid and I was like, that is insane. Like, I'm so proud of you, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you found your niche and you
Yeah.
working with it.
He is the niche, isn't he? He is the thing. Yeah. Damn, fuck, bro. That's so mad. All right, that's cool. So you just started at about 17 to work with these bigger companies, but still alongside of, scooters, skateboards, everything to do with what you guys are doing. At what point, actually, I'm curious as well. So the number one video that blew me away was that video that Ryan put up where he was at the Caloundra skate park where most of his videos were filmed. Did you spend much time up there filming with him there?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I spent weeks and weeks up there with him over the years.
Yeah.
Ryan and I were like inseparable when we were like young. Then with all the Mad Gear stuff, we were always together in Melbourne, in America, wherever it was. And then he got picked up by Nitro Circus. And obviously his commitments were with Nitro. And I still filmed bits with him and we still share like a really tight friendship today. Like when he first got on X Games, he had to make an X Games profile, and he's like, I need to do that with Nick. So like we still, you know, I think our friendship was very, very special, and we his best friend, who was one of my very close friends, took his own life last year.
Wow.
Which was obviously awful, and that's kind of brought us a little closer together. We check in on each other a bit more now and that kind of stuff. But yeah, we were always together. I spent, I don't know how many school holidays up there.
Yeah.
But it was like, man, that kid is like so talented, and he could try anything. Like you could say, I want you to try, I don't know, clay pigeon shooting, and he'd be good at it. Like he's not human.
Yeah.
Just anything he tries.
It's like, crazy, you know? Because everything he picks up, I feel like I see most of the videos for it, where it be on a skateboard, on a scooter, on a BMX, on a motorbike, on anything. He's just doing it. Eh?
And like the last big project we did together was probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe even longer now. But it was his Web Edit 3, and that was kind of like back in the day, that was before people post clips on Instagram. It was like waiting for your next web edit to come out.
Yeah.
So you'd be like waiting, oh, Ryan Williams' new web edit's coming soon.
I remember watching a Web Edit for it,
Yeah. And it's cool in the credits. He kind of gave me a big rap in the credits at the end of the video, and that was kind of like, I feel like that was like putting an end to that chapter for us.
Mm-hmm. Did you feel like that at the time? Or no, is it just looking back?
No, not in a negative way. Just it was a positive thing. Because he's like, I'm stoked to see how far you've come. And when I read that, I'm like, I'm stoked to see how far you've come. Like, look at us. Imagine if you could go back and tell 14, 15-year-old us what we're doing now.
Yeah.
He's making insane money doing his thing. This was right when I got the job with Russel Crowe too.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, it must have been longer then, because I'd been working for Russel for a couple of years at the point the web edit came out. So probably 6-7 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, it was a big kind of step back for us, and like look at what we've done.
Yeah. I remember I watched in doing research for this episode, I was going through your page, and it's somewhere along the lines I found the connection you and Ryan had together, and something linked me to that video of him at the Caloundra Skatepark where he backflipped out of the bowl, landed in the nose manual, 180'd in, and then front flipped off the other side of the ramp, right? And I've seen that video 1,000 times more. I've seen that video so many times in my life growing up. And then I watched it again, and then he was saying, Nickeh, I did it. Nickeh, I did it. And bro, it fucking freaked me out, bro. I was like,
it gave me chills. You know what's weird about that is
that's fucked up.
I remember that day, bro. And so I'd flown up to Caloundra to kind of finish the web edit with him, because I didn't film all of it, but he got me in when he wanted to get a new trick done. And he goes, what should I do? He just learned backflip to nose manual. He's like, but how do I make it better? As a joke, I said, flip, nose manual, 180 and fake it fronty. Like I was actually joking. And he did it. But the thing, him and I would spend hours on hours, probably even multiple days sometimes, filming one trick.
Wow.
Over and over. And we had this inside joke. He'd be like, give me 10 more. And then 40 more would go, and he'd be like, give me 10 more. Or give me 5 more.
10 more is massive.
We'd never say one more, because then you're giving yourself bad luck.
Yeah.
But man, the terabytes of footage we'd have of just attempts would be crazy.
Yeah. Speaking on that, I'm curious as well, because I know how much footage is worth now in bite size. An episode of this would be 250 gigabytes sometimes. It's ridiculous. How much storage was shit taken up back then? If you got an hour worth of footage back then?
Oh, it was nothing like what it is now. The bit rates were so much smaller, and compression was way worse. So far out. I remember I used to have like maybe 3 250 gigabyte drives, and that had everything on it.
Wow.
Like now at my studio, I have a 100 terabyte NAS, and it's nearly full.
Yeah.
After 2 years. So it's like, it's definitely changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could get away with so much more back then.
Yeah, that's so crazy. That's so awesome. So that video that you kind of summed up together doing Web Edit 3, where was that? Was that already with Nitro Circus at that point?
Yeah, he was like doing this is like peak, not peak him, but like peak Nitro Circus, I'd say.
Yeah.
I feel like he's grown to be even bigger than Nitro now. Like he's his own brand now.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so sick to see. But this was like peak Nitro days.
Mm-hmm.
This is when he'd finally become like, because even the Nitro guys originally would put crap on him. be like, oh, we got this scooter kid coming down the ramp, blah, 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 blah. And then he just proved everybody wrong because he'd pick up a BMX bike and be better than them. And
That was probably around Web Edit 3 too,
yeah,
wasn't it?
so yeah, it's kind of at that peak. And then he just became the man.
Yeah. When he started riding BMX, I was like, well, fuck me. You know what I mean? Oh, well, all right, he can do everything. That's fine. Yeah, that's sick. All right, that's mad. That's a mad timeline so far. It's already fucking phenomenal. Now, you're 17 when you're fully employed by MGP, but were you also making the videos for Arnott at the same time? Were you doing it on the side as well? So you're making extra money doing that. And then how long between that period and when you made that final Web Edit 3? Because that Web Edit 3 would have been, let's just call it, 7-8 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
Now?
Right, so 17, 18, 19, 20. Let's call that like the in-between period, right? So finished high school, working for Mad Gear. I'm also working at Monster Skatepark.
Mad.
Doing their content. And then I got to a point where I was like, I need to step away from Mad Gear. So I would have been like 19, 20. And then I got a job at an agency in Parramatta. I was just doing like business videos, that kind of stuff. But I was still working at Monster. And then...
Do you mind if I ask too, why did you decide you had to step away from Mad Gear? Was it the work you were doing? Was it like, what was it?
I believe at the time they wanted me to move to Melbourne. And I didn't want to go. And I wanted to do more, but I was obviously feeling like a lot of my friends didn't ride for Mad Gear, so it was a conflict of interest working with certain people, and still very grateful. They gave me so many opportunities and stuff.
And what were they getting you to do as a contract? Was it like one video a week? Was it 8 hours a day? What was your job?
It was all over the place, but I just logged my hours. I had to do a certain amount of hours a week, and I'd log them. And it was filming, graphics, bits and pieces of everything.
Were you from home or were you from an office? Or
Yeah, I was from home.
Okay, cool.
So I had to set up. I actually, so I grew up living with my mum and her sister, and they ended up getting the shits with me and kicked me out into the garage. So I had this cool, kind of similar to this, but on a much shitter scale. I had like this. I had a bed, I had a fridge, I had a microwave, and then I had a desk.
Yeah,
and that was my jam. And then yeah. So let's say I'm like 20 by now, 19, 20. I said to the guys at Monster, I'm like, you guys do these skateboard camps, scooter camps, BMX camps. How about we do a digital media one? I'll teach kids how to make videos. They're like, yeah, sweet. So I did maybe 3 or 4 of those. On the last one, I had the option. You could do like a single day camp or you could do a 3-day camp. We did the camp, and then on like the day after that, this kid turned up and he's like, oh, I'm here for the camp. And I'm like, oh, ended yesterday, bro. And then we ended up hanging out and we made this video. I had to show him how to use his camera and whatnot. And I didn't really use Twitter back in the day, but that night I got a Twitter notification and it said, Chris Murphy has tagged you in a tweet. And I knew that name. I was like, where do I know that name from? So I go on Twitter and it says something like, thanks Nickeh Films for teaching my youngest how to use a camera today. You are the future of film. I was like, why do I know that name? And I grew up with my grandfather watching the news. He's a super high-powered lawyer. He defends a lot of celebrities and stuff. I'm like, that's insane. And then I found out that the kid I had taught is his son, and the woman I was speaking to is his mum. And turns out he is a very good friend of Russel Crowe.
Wow.
So the kid's mum got in my ear and she's like, I want to introduce you and blah, 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 blah. So I wrote this kind of intro email, sent it to Russell's assistant. And then the next day, I can't remember what he said, but it was something real, like, to the point. He's like, yeah, you're talented. How much do you want? I was like, what? So, and when met with Russell's other business partner, he's like, oh, I really like what they obviously own the Rabbitohs, and they had this After Effects project open, and they're like, can you fix this issue that we've got? And I was like, yeah, jumped on, bang, 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 fixed it.
Yeah.
And
And what was the issue? What did you have to try and fix? I'm confused.
To be honest, I don't remember. It was like there was an effect they were trying to do and it wasn't working or something.
Yeah, as in like almost like a, because I'm not really familiar with cameras and editing and all that stuff. I've got the basic level entry, but it would be like almost like let's just say you want to add a glow to something.
Yeah, it was something like that. I don't remember what it was.
Something like that.
But I jumped on and helped because I remember So Joe, who I worked with for years, he also works for Russell, was leaving as I was walking into my interview. So he wasn't around, and he was like their main video editor. They just had their graphics guy working on it. So anyway, I jump on, I fix the issue, and he asked me, all right, do you want a job? And I'm like, I'd love a job. Then I go home and tell my family, I'm like, I just met with Russel Crowe's business partner. They're offering me a job. Don't hear anything for 6 months.
Oh,
So I've told everyone.
yeah.
But don't hear anything for 6 months. So I'm back at Monster. I do my thing. It didn't knock me down at all. I was like, oh, it's not meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, as I said, I'm doing all these cool things, so it didn't really bother me. Then like a few months later, I get this call, and they'd been in Turkey filming a film called The Water Diviner, and it was his business partner. He's like, man, I'm so sorry, we've been in Turkey. I thought you had already started. When I got back and saw you weren't here, I called around, and he's like, do you still want that job? And I'm like, I'd love it. So I remember that weekend I went to the footy, and I remember I got my ticket, and I'm sitting at this seat, and I'm like, I'm by myself, like, what the hell? And then I get these security guards come up to me, and they're like, are you Nick? And I'm like, yeah. And they take me upstairs to Russell's box, and I meet Russell. He's like, show me some of your work. And I like pulled my show reel out, and he paused it after like 10 seconds, and I was like, oh no, he hates it. He's like, man, you're good, man. Like, I was like, far out. That was wild to me.
Yeah.
And then I ended up, I worked for him for about 8 years. And I quit 2 years ago, but I still do a lot with him today. So I've been working with him for like 10 years now.
Damn, bro. Damn. So when you were working for him, what did that, I know it was a long time, it was 8 years, but I know at one point you went on tour because I saw videos of you in another country. I don't know what country it was, but how much of it was traveling around? How much of it was like based here and things like that?
So the first, let's say 2 years, it was all Rabbitoh stuff. And I think that was kind of like maybe a bit of a test for me. I didn't really have much to do with him for like the first 2 years. And then I remember it was the end of the year. We had a Christmas party, and all the people in the building were there. So we were the middle floor, and then there was 3 other businesses there. So everyone's there, and Russell kind of said to me, he was like, why aren't you like chatting with everyone? I'm like, to be honest, I don't really know anyone. I didn't know anyone. I was always in my edit suite. He goes, yeah, I don't really know anyone either. Do you want to go get dinner? I'm like, yeah, sounds good. So I remember Joe, myself, Russell, and his kids, we went and got food and then hung out at his house. And I got my mum to come get me. I was still young. I was like 21 maybe by this stage, and still living at home. So I called Mum. I was like, Mum, I've had a bit to drink. Can you come pick me up from the city? And she's like, yeah, sweet. And she picked me up from Russell's house. And I think that was the first time my mum was like, holy shit, like this is the thing. I'm like, yeah, it's a thing. And then from that point on, it was like I built a relationship with him, and we've traveled. We've been all over together. We've been to China together. We've been to Hong Kong, Macau, Sweden, all over the UK and Europe. So it started as the Rabbitoh stuff, then went into some film stuff. I worked on a few movie sets. We shot a big feature a couple of years ago. That was kind of like my last job with him. But these days, it's honestly his music. His music's his passion. It's what he does when he's not working. And we've been shooting this music documentary. I come into it late. They'd already been shooting it. I mean, he's been collecting footage since the 80s. But we came into it like 2015, 16. And yeah, so that tour that you're talking about was last year. So after I'd quit, we went all around Australia, and then we went to Italy and Malta.
Yeah, okay.
And Czech Republic.
Yeah. Far out, bro. That's crazy. So in those initial days when you were just doing a lot of stuff for the Rabbitohs, what was that content being for? Because social media wasn't as big as it is now, I'm assuming.
It was like that would have been like 2015.
Okay, yeah.
So it was popping off socials, but the things I do every week, so at every home game they'd play like a Nickeh video. So the idea with that was, let's say they're playing the Bulldogs. It'd be a history of the Rabbitohs and the Bulldogs in like a 2-minute video. Mm-hmm. So I'd have to do that every home game. Then it was like milestone videos. So let's say Sam Burgess plays his 100th game. It's making a video about that. When there's new jerseys coming out, making videos about those, all that kind of stuff. The other big one was, you know, like you ever been to a footy game and they score a try and then their name comes up and they're doing some pose or whatever.
Yeah.
They're called player profiles. So I do those every year. Joe and I do those together. But yeah, it was yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Bits and pieces. It was actually cool. The first gig that I did for the Rabbitohs was their membership video for 2015 or 2016 because it was the end of 2015. And if you go and watch it, it's like all my friends from the Skatepark.
Yeah.
So I brought them in. I'm like, my idea was, I remember I pitched it at the Rabbitohs meeting. I was so nervous. I'm like, what if we just like showed that it's not just footy players that are fans. It's all kinds of people. So there's like a skater in it. There's a gymnastics girl in it. There's a BMX rider in it. Lance Russell, the motocross rider's in it. So like, I just brought in all my different connections and, you know, they're all doing their thing in Rabbitohs jerseys. It's pretty cool.
That's dope. So how did you and Lance become mates? How did that whole thing? Because I've seen you make content with him and collaborate with him on some things.
And he was like, he was the guy I looked up to in school. So he's a bit older than me. I would have been year 7. He was like year 11. And I was like, that guy's a crusty demon. That's insane. And then his brother is a really talented filmmaker, Lockie. So I just looked up to those boys so much. And then early days, they gave me so many cool opportunities. I learned so much from both of them. They're the best.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously you would have worked with them up until kind of recently, I guess.
Yeah, Lance and I actually shot, you know, Razer, the gaming company?
Yeah.
We shot an ad for them, would have been last year or the year before, probably 2 years ago now. So we still do a lot together.
Yeah, that's sick, bro. Like, you surround yourself with so many people who have excelled in life, you know, really. And I guarantee it wasn't necessarily for a point of what I guess networking kind of is today. People, I guess they kind of do latch themselves onto people they think going to become big, but you're young enough for that not even to be a career for people yet, you know?
Yeah.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So this whole chapter that you did with Russell, was that the majority of your work? Was that what you were doing for that time?
Yeah. That's all I was doing. I was full time for him. So,
I guess you would have got a lot of exposure, bro. A lot of XP. Like you said, you're doing some film, you were doing music stuff. Everything's shot differently.
He put me in like some crazy opportunities, bro. Like, I remember I went to he's got a farm up north. I went to his farm and it was for New Year's and I didn't tell anyone it was my birthday because I've never liked being center of attention or anything like that. And I remember I was in their house with Tom Burgess, footy player. And I woke up and I got off the phone. My mum or someone had called me and wished me happy birthday. He's like, it's your birthday, is it? And I'm like, oh yeah, like, don't tell anyone though. Like, I want to keep it down pat. So we go the whole day, no one mentions anything. And then that night, Russell's like, oh, I want to show you something. I'm like, yeah, sweet. We went out the back. We were just sitting there having a drink together. And so I would have been 23. I would have been turning 23. And I was having a drink and I'd always really appreciated when it was just him and I to ask him things. I just like, and still to this day, I just love having a chat with him. He's the best storyteller. So I'm like asking him things about movies and that. What I didn't realize was the reason he had taken me outside was because they were setting up a party for me in the house. And then I went inside and they gave me the big happy birthday. And the craziest thing to me, I was like, is that RZA from Wu-Tang Clan? And he's like, yeah, he's a friend of mine. I'm like, what? Like, so crazy, right? And
That's crazy.
I guess he didn't know how big a fan I was of Wu-Tang. And then it was like a couple months later, Keith, his business partner, was like, oh, do you want to shoot a Wu-Tang documentary? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
So like I started working with them, which was crazy. Like he just had this ability to put me in these situations that I never thought was possible. As I said, when I was like 15, 16 in America, I was like, this is it for me. And then like the people he's introduced me to, bro, like the situations I've been in are like insane. And I sometimes forget how insane they are. And I'll be talking to someone, they'll mention something about somebody. I'm like, oh no, I met that guy once and he was like blah, 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 blah. And they're like, well, you hung out with him? And I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, it's just like, it's become, not trying to sound like a wanker, but it just became normal.
Of course. I know what you mean, dude.
Yeah.
I have these conversations with people too, and they sometimes they tell me about some of the situations they've been in, and they're just like, yeah, that was normal. I'm like, bro, that ain't normal, you know? It just becomes the normal for people, you know? That's phenomenal. So what was the what's been so far up until that point where you work with Russell? What's been your favorite type of stuff to work on for yourself? Like, I know you're working for someone else employed wise, but what do you enjoy doing the most at this point?
So I think the biggest lesson that I've learned, like in later life, was that the whole reason I started doing this stuff was to make things with my friends. And although like I'm friends with everybody that works with Russell and that was all good, there was just so many people involved that I didn't like. Like on a film set, for example, there's 400 chefs in the kitchen trying to make the same dish, you know what I mean? And people think their job is more important than yours. And I just never had that, like, that. I've never thought that way. Like, if I was directing a big movie, I'd be helping the behind the scenes kid. That's just how I am. And I remember just like people being rude to me and all this stuff. And I'm like, this isn't what I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of had me down for a while because I was like, working in Australian film, you're not going to get a bigger job than working for someone like Russell. And I'm not necessarily enjoying it. I was enjoying things with him, but if I was put in a situation on behalf of him, it just wasn't my thing. So I read a book called The Alchemist. And
is that a good book? Because I want to read that book next.
Read it. I won't ruin the story for you. But one of the main plots is that sometimes what you're looking for is just in your backyard, pretty much.
And sorry to cut you off. I'm going to do this a lot. I do it by accident. But is that a book about the guy who just goes on a journey of self-discovery in it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And when I like got to that part of the book, I was like, fuck. The reason I enjoy doing this stuff is to work with my friends. So I need to be doing that again. And it kept me down for like 6 months, bro. I'm like, how do I do this? I'm going to have to leave my job. It's like, I'm not going to get a better job than this. And then just things started aligning for me, bro. The 2-7 project, which is my studio, we had a private studio before the one we got now. And I was working with my friends again in COVID. We had a cool little group. And we like, in COVID, there wasn't any work in film. So it was actually a weird period, but a good period for me because all these companies were reaching out to me on Instagram like, we need content and no one to shoot it, so do you want to shoot it for us? So I was working with like Google and Huawei and Sour Patch Kids and all these like crazy companies in COVID, just making videos with my friends. It kind of sparked the love again for me. I'm like, this is what I need to be doing. So I ended up resigning. I called Russell and I wasn't sure how he was going to take it. And he's the man, bro. Like he was pretty much like, bro, I've been waiting for you to do this. Like, it's time to do your own thing. And he was like, this is no door shut with me. If anything more will open, which he's a man of his word because I see him more. I do more with him now than I did when I actually was there. And yeah, I was all right. I'm starting my own thing. I'm going to employ my friends where I can. And then at that same time, Taito Ivasa, MMA fighter, he has a brand called FTA with his cousin Chris. And they were like, oh, we need a spot to run FTA. And I was like, well, why don't we just all come together? And it was kind of an idea for about six or 7 months. And then Chris kind of got fed up with not having a spot. And he's like, no, let's do it. So that's how the 2-7 came about. It was literally based off the fact that I just wanted to be working with my friends again. And I knew that I could do it because I'd done it before. Like, I knew that I could make... And I told people I'm opening a studio in Penrith. Like, that's a stupid idea. Go do it in the city. I'm like, I don't want to do it in the city. But I guess I kind of had this confidence because I used to tell people I film scooter videos and be like, what? You can't do that. I'm like, yeah, I can. So it's like that kind of... I've proved to myself that I can do it. So I knew that I could make the 2-7 work. And I knew I could make a career again just working with my friends, which is what I do now. Like 99% of what I do is with my friends now.
That's fucking so dope, bro. When you were doing this private stuff, when you first started doing it, you said you did have a private studio. What was that? What do you mean by private studio? Like,
we just didn't rent it out. So essentially, my mate Kyle owned a gym, still owns a gym, and underneath it there was this like sketchy basement.
Yeah.
And we ended up, myself, Kyle, and our other friend, Bomber, made this private kind of studio underneath it. We just had some backdrops there, had our desks there. But it was more like, what's special about it and what's special about the 2-7 now is it's like anyone could get a space, put some backdrops in it, get some cameras. But it's the aura inside that no one can replicate.
Yeah.
Like you go in that place, and I'd love to have you out there sometime, bro. But you come in, and it's just like everyone's bouncing ideas off each other, and people are coming in and leaving ready to like take on the world,
Yeah.
myself included, bro. Every morning I walk up, park my car, walk up towards the building, and I see the big sign above the door, and I'm like this is crazy to me that this is ours. So it's like you go in there and you leave like feeling 10 feet tall, and yeah, it's a wig out.
That's it. Phenomenal, bro. I'd love to come check out the project. Like it's actually inspiring for me because a factory is something that I'm looking at doing at the end of the year to merge a bunch of my different endeavors together into one factory. And you mentioned your mate Bomber. Is that Bomber Sneakers? You know what's crazy is I'm pretty sure he's gonna come on in like 3 weeks too. And I had no idea you guys were doing content together because I'm a fan of his shoes, bro.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
him and I used to do a lot back in the day. But yeah, it's wig out.
It is. It's awesome, bro. It's awesome. So, how did you and Bam Bam first get into contact to you know, you said it was just like, oh, we may as well join forces and come together to get this factory. But how'd that first connection kind of start in the first place?
So Bomber went to school with him, and I was friends with Chris, and then through Kyle as well, who owned that gym. And then yeah, just kind of all worlds came together, bro.
Yeah. Okay.
Through that, and then Ty and I have become obviously incredibly close since then. We've been close for like 3 or 4 years now, and yeah, it's just, bro. It's actually weird. Back in 2014, 13, there used to be a scooter magazine called Dialed, and I was cleaning some stuff up from my mum's house a few months ago, sorry. And I found the magazine, and I had an article in it, and I read it, and like, you know, like in magazines, they kind of get a quote and make that text bigger. The quote said, "I just want to have my own studio one day." And when I read it, I full forgot that I had said that. I was like, this is a wig out. And I took it to the magazine's at the studio now. But it's like, yeah, it's just like crazy, bro, that, you know, obviously I share this place with Ty and Chris, and we've got a really cool crew there now. And it's just, but at the end of it, it's like something that I've been wanting since I was a kid.
Yeah. That's mad. Before I go into this whole chapter with what the 27 project has created, are you a big believer in any spirituality side of, you know, law of attraction, or there's a book called The Secret or anything like that? Do you believe that it was your belief system that was what got you to that point?
100%. I'm not necessarily religious, but a lot of people around me are, and it's definitely rubbed off a lot on me. But I do believe that there is a greater power out there, and what you put out is what you're going to get, which is like, I'm a big believer of just don't be a dickhead.
Yeah, that's good.
Trust me, like the last few years, I've seen some certain things and I've been like, that's why that happened, or this is why that happened. But then if I think about it, bro, everything that I've achieved has been a manifestation in some shape or form. I'm very big on it. I'm very big on voicing what I'm going to do. And I always tell people to hold me accountable. But I think about it, bro. I used to walk to school and dream of being picked up by the tour bus. That happened. I used to dream about how am I going to make a job out of this. That happened. I used to dream about having a studio. That's happened. So it's like, I feel like it's like anything though. I can't be like, oh, I want a Lamborghini. It's going to happen. It's got to be something that you were put here to do, or you feel you were put here to do. But I'm a big believer, and if you read The Alchemist, it's like everything's already written, and you've just got to not be a dickhead.
Yeah.
And keep your head down and do what you need to do.
I love that. I think if it was a thing that you were manifesting, or anyone's manifesting the Lambo, I want the Lambo. As long as you walk the path to get the Lambo, you're
100%.
going to get it.
If you're meant to have the Lambo, you'll get the Lambo.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure if I really wanted a Lamborghini, I could put my head down and work towards getting it.
Yeah.
But I also know that that's not what I was here for. I was here to make things, create things, and help people.
Yeah. Were you a creative person before you ever picked up the camera and stuff?
Yeah, so my grandma always talks about it, but do you remember Microsoft Paint?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a weirdo, bro. I used to sit at the computer at home and just like draw shit on Microsoft Paint.
Yeah.
I did like a couple art lessons when I was younger. I used to love drawing. Every year, you know, like back in the day, you'd wrap your school books. I'd always wrap it with blank paper and then cut shit out of magazines and draw fucking Etnies logos and shit all over my book. Like I was
Yeah.
just all about like that kind of stuff. When I was real young, I wanted to obviously Need for Speed Underground was the shit, and I was like, oh, I
No,
just
Need
want
for
to.
Speed Underground 2.
That one was good
Yeah.
too, but it was always like, you know, adding flames to the cars and shit. I'm like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So I always like was able to think creatively.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't feel like I took it seriously until I got the job with Russell. I didn't know anything about cameras. I didn't know camera settings. I didn't understand it all. I was just winging it. And as I said, I've never been to school. I never trained as a camera guy. So it's like I'm all self-taught. But when I started working with Russell, I found out how important it is to surround yourself with people that are way better than you and just be the dumbest person at the table because you just soak it in. And I was lucky, as I said, he's put me in some crazy situations where I've been hanging out with like world-class directors and world-class cinematographers and just being able to pick their brains. And I'm a very visual learner. If I watch someone do something, I take it on board and go, okay, how do I do that?
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
And what were some of the it's going to be a very hard question to answer, so you don't have to answer it technically, but what's some of the crazy things that you did find that you didn't know about cameras, like where lights are positioned, or is it like, because I've got to be honest, bro, I bought these, I pressed auto and then I pressed record. That's as far as I understand cameras, you know.
To be fair though, bro, for a podcast, that's all you need to be able to do.
Yeah.
What I learned the most was I just went back to square one and just learned what shutter speed is and why it works, what aperture is and why it works, what ISO is and why it works. Then once I got the fundamentals of how a camera works down pat, it was lighting, because lighting's like 90% of filmmaking.
So all those things, aperture, frame rate, and ISO, they have nothing to do with lighting at all. Like they their own thing.
So they're more like the mechanics of how a camera works. So your shutter speed is, it's all around exposure. So it doesn't involve lighting, because your ISO is like your camera sensitivity to light. Your aperture is the depth of field that you get, and the larger your aperture and the smaller your aperture depends what's in focus, what's not in focus, your depth of field. And then your shutter speed, there's like rules that I didn't understand with shutter speed back in the day, because I just put my camera on auto too.
Yeah.
So I had to learn like why use a certain shutter speed for something like a fight scene or an action scene, and why use a different shutter speed if you're at a higher frame rate, and all this kind of like technical stuff.
Yeah.
I went back to square one with and learned everything again. And then how important lighting. You could have one light, bro, and light a scene 1,000 different ways and show 1,000 different emotions.
Wow.
So lighting is like super important. And that's something that I honestly didn't really learn too much about until I got the studio, because I've never really been around too many lights. Because on film set, you have a gaffer and you have lighting technicians that take care of the lights. So I was able to watch why they're doing certain things, but I was never able to be hands-on with it. And now, man, we've got so many lights at the studio. It's sick. But
Yeah.
just always experimenting and trying different things.
Yeah, I definitely want to try and dive deep into that in my own personal life, as the mechanics behind it. Why? Because I just bought lights and just put them in the room. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck, I think this is what you do, you know? Like,
100%.
it's fucking so interesting. Now that you mention all the stuff that you grew up interested in, like the sticker bombing of your school stuff, like your books, and then knowing your history into the skate world and things like that, I can see how that's transitioned now into the content you make. Like with the way that, say you do a collaboration with Bomber Sneakers, for example, or Shoe Grab or something that I've seen, the way that I can see the shoe now reminds me of a sticker being slapped on something, you know?
Yeah.
The way you film your content with Elite 11, is that what it's called? Elite 11, 7-Eleven. 11, what's the Jeremiah Luai and things brand?
Oh, Universe 7.
Universe 7.
Yeah.
The way that those things are shot, even the BTS behind it showing how you made the video, for me, that's just an evolution of a sticker bomb. That's an evolution of the skate park world into a digital world now. And
It's kind of like I'm 30 now, bro. And for, let's say, the last 20 years, I've just been, as I said, I'm a visual learner. I take in things I see. I watch a film and be like, that effect is sick. How do I do that on a shoot with no budget? So it's always just like, we always make shitty rigs in the studio too. So it's like, we'll try and give it a crack of like a Hollywood effect, but using fishing line and a green screen. So it's like, yeah, I've just been forever taking in things, and I'm sure there's things that I learned from skateboarding that stuck in the back of my head, which I pull from today. But yeah, I guess I've developed a very kind of street style with how I do things too.
That's a great word for it. I was trying to think of what's the word, but it is a street style. It's a street style, high production value content. But
Yeah.
it's like the roots of it. I can see the roots of it, bro. For me, it's like a sticker bomb collection. You know?
Yeah.
It's fucking so awesome. So when you first got this factory together, did you have yourself much, say, clientele work that you were going to start filming for? Was there a period where you didn't have any work? How did it all start out?
So, again, with manifestation, when I first left, I wrote a list of what clients I wanted. And just like anyone, the top of the list was your Nikes, your Apples, your Googles. And then there was people in between. I was like, I want to get to a point, and I wrote a number down. I want to make this much money. And it happened way quicker than what I thought it was going to happen. Again, I feel like if you put the right energy out, the right energy comes back. So I started putting out feelers. I've never once in my life, something I'm very grateful for, I've never once had to look for any work. Because once people found out I was going on my own, I was getting bombarded with emails. Oh, I'd love you to come do stuff with us.
Wow.
And I got to a point where I was like, I had to learn to, and I still have troubles with this, learning how to say no to certain things. Because I want to help everybody, bro. Especially my friends. Like, you'll see if you look at what I do, a lot of the stuff I do is for my friends. Universe 7 or FTA or like all these brands that are entwined with 27. And I'll always do that because that's what fills my cup, I guess. But yeah, the start was crazy, bro. It was like, all right, I got no clients. Then I got Shoe Grab. They were like my first kind of out on my own again client.
Was that as big as it is today back then? Because Shoe Grab's pretty big.
Oh man, he's been grinding since like 2013, I think.
Yeah.
But I think we took the social to a whole other level together.
Yeah.
People try and replicate it now. It's kind of
Definitely.
like we set a tone with that stuff.
Yeah. I love that mad one of like jumping over. There's like the ones jumping over the 27 building. There's the ones where it like falls and lands on the. Is that Parramatta Westfield, like the car park? Where's that
it's
car
Penrith Westfield.
I mean Penrith Westfield.
But yeah, it's like Jay's cool, man. Jay that owns Shoe Grab. He's got the craziest story too.
Yeah.
I'd love him to tell it one day, but he's got a real film background. He worked in a movie theater as a kid and just loves film. When he found out I worked for Russell, he thought it was like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
But him and I were just like, all right, how many ways can you shoot a pair of shoes? How do we make it cooler? So we have a certain amount of deliverables we have to do a month together. Let's call it 15 reels, right? 12 of them will be pretty basic. Basic in terms of the box opens. You see the shoes on the foot. But then we call them flexi edits. We're like, all right, we need 2 that make people go, wow. So we had some fun over the years, like just making shoes fall out of places, doing shoe boomerangs. We always just try and do these cool little visual effects that, really engage. And that's been huge for me because I've always had like ideas, but I never knew how to make them happen. And I feel like that 8-year stint that I did with Russell, working with people like Joe and all these really talented people, I was able to learn, okay, your PC's there. How do I make that blow up into 1 million pieces? That's a cool idea, but how do I do it? I've finally gotten to the point now where I'll be like, I know how I can make that happen.
Wow.
So Jay will say to me, oh, can you make the shoe explode? And I'm like, yes, I can, but we're going to do it a shittier way than what Avengers does it or what James Bond does it. And just being able to think that way, I've gotten really fast at it as well. So I think something that helps me when I'm on set with these corporate clients now these days is I'll do an effect and 10 seconds later I've already got the card in my computer and I'm making sure the effect worked. And the clients, they're going, holy shit, like it's, like to them it looks done. To me, I'm like, I've got 2 weeks to spend on this. Like it's far from done.
Yeah.
But being able to try those different effects and try different things and figure out what works really well on social media as well has been super crazy.
Yeah. So when you just say shooting ideas around the room, no one started filming yet. There are customers come to you and said, we just want to film this easy shoe grab or whatever it is.
Yep.
And you're bouncing ideas off each other. As the ideas are being bounced, are you already able to think about the basics first, ISO, shutter speed, fucking whatever the other ones were, aperture, and then the effects that you have to use? Like, is this pretty much instant information at this point?
To me, these days, that's like walking to me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
setting up a camera, I could do it asleep.
Yeah.
Um,
And are you pretty much easily familiar with, like, this is, just say I want to capture this photo right now. You already understand what to set everything to before you
Yeah.
capture it. It's not
Yeah.
trial and error with anything. It's
yeah, no, as I said, that's like literally like second nature to me now. But the idea is what, because bro, your brain's a muscle, right? If you go to the gym every day and train arms, eventually your arms are gonna get sore and tired, but you're gonna have huge arms.
yeah.
So it's like I'm constantly using that part of my brain, bro. I crash hard sometimes. Like I burn myself out bad sometimes.
Would that be creatively? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I've also gotten a lot quicker with thinking, okay, I know I've only got 3 seconds to grab someone's attention in a video. How am I? So let's say Coolridge comes to me and they're like, we want to film an ad on this new water. I'm like, all right, so we got 15 seconds to tell the story, but only 3 seconds to grab someone's attention. So how are we going to do that? Do we want it to be, you got to figure out what that hook is and then reverse engineer from that hook. So I've got like a million little ideas in my head and I'm constantly saving things on Instagram. I've got a notes on my phone with all these links. I take inspiration from other people's work, but it's like most of the time a company, and quite often companies come to me and be like, we just want you to do what you did for Shoe Grab.
Yeah.
They use Shoe Grab as a reference because that's where we've been really creative with that kind of stuff. But yeah, they'll come to me and be like very trusting with the process. I guess I got the receipts. Like I got receipts to show that it works.
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of funny too. Not to sound like a wanker right now, but
You don't have to say
I
that.
feel like I've been doing it for so long now that people go, "Oh, I can do that," and they try it and they can't. Like I had a client call me yesterday that I used to work with, and they're like, "Bro, are you still doing this stuff? Because we've tried 6-7 other shooters and they can't do what you can do.
Yeah.
Can we come work with you again?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." Like.
Mad.
For sure, but just been like, it's taken me a long time to get any confidence like that, but having the studio as well and having all these other people coming in, I just know that what we do is a little bit different. I'm not saying it's better, but it's different.
Definitely different, bro. I think it's a stamp, bro. I think 2.7's a full cultural imprint. I gotta be honest. Like it is, in my opinion. I'm not even in Penrith at the moment, but it's like that is what I think of when I think of culture.
I think it's I think we got something very special, bro, because first of all, our team are incredible. You've got Tui, you've got Chris, Tui's cousin. So they bring that kind of islander banter, but they've got this aura about them, bro, where Chris or Ty would be like, jump, and I'm like, yeah, haha. Mm-hmm. Like, I just would always listen to them. And I know that they got my back no matter what. And then you've got Tuesday. She's the only girl in our crew at the moment, but she just holds it down for everybody, bro. And she's like the reason that the 2.7 operates so well. She takes on so much. She absolutely kills it. Then we got the youngins. So we got Josh, Seb, Phil, Falcon. They all come from different areas. Falcon's like a football background. Seb, he's Croatian. Phil's Filipino. And Josh, he's this young kid that I met on a 1-4 shoot one time, who just had a lot of drive, so I've kind of kept him around. Then you have Majdi and Toby. And so Majdi's got a Lebanese background, the funniest dude I know. And Toby's like the hardest worker in the room always. So we just got like this clique, bro, of people that just want the best for each other. And then people come in to the studio to rent the studio and see what we've got. And if you read the reviews on the studio, bro, it's always like, everyone's super helpful. Because people come into the studio and they get overwhelmed. There's so much in there.
Oh,
they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So we're always making sure we help those people out. And we become friends with most of the people that rent the studio out, which is cool.
Mad.
But it's definitely like, I've been to studios in the past, bro, where you turn up, someone there, they give you the key and they're like, oh, we'll see you in 8 hours. And you get there and it's in a fucking shit everywhere and you got to fix things before you start shooting. And that's why with 2.7, I'm like, nah, it stays clean. It looks perfect every time you walk in there. The fridge is full and not of water, just water. We got waters, Red Bulls, drinks, Drink West, whatever you need, it's yours. Like, we want people to come in and be like, this is our spot. There's a lounge with a PS5 set up, a gigantic TV. Like, there's always things happening. Bro, there was a couple of weeks ago where, what was going on? So we had a lot of the footy boys love coming to the studio. So they get their managers to host the meetings. We've got a boardroom upstairs.
Wow.
So some of the boys' managers were in, like Sony Luke came through, Bizza came through, Isaac Tungle come through. And at the same time, there was I can't remember what it was, a real estate shoot, I think, happening on the site. And there was a podcast happening too. And I was like, I took a step back and I'm like, there is so much happening right now. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
To those people that were like, you're wasting your time opening a studio in Penrith, I'm like, I wish they could see this right now.
Yeah.
Because like it's like a new culture, bro. And I feel like I've got the same feelings with this than what I did with the scooter stuff. Remember when I said like all these big companies started coming to me being like, no, what you're doing is working. We want to be a part of it. I'm starting to see that same shift now.
Yeah.
It's like we're not the arty kind of indie film studio vibe, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with, by the way. We're this street style vibe in the studio, and you don't have to be, you know, an art student or a film school student or whatever to come use the space. Anyone can use the space, and I think it's something special we got, bro.
That's fucking so sick. What are all these young'uns doing? Like, what's their job? So I'm assuming you're doing most of the, you know, editing side of things and all that stuff as well. You have to tell me everyone's exact jobs, but like, everyone employed full time? Is everyone just coming in as casual work? What are they doing? Like,
there's no actual employees of the studio. Tuesday is like the manager of the studio, but she works for my company Pixel Park, which is my production company. So she's a producer by trade, I guess you could say. Chris, who runs FTA, he's a part owner of the studio. So the studio's got 3 owners, myself, Ty, and Chris. But he's kind of like, he's like the studio dad almost. Like, he just makes sure everything's operating and checks in on everyone, make sure everyone's good mentally, that kind of stuff. Tui isn't hands-on as much because he's busy fighting or doing his thing, but he's still very involved. Then the youngins, their job is they all get a spot at the studio for free pretty much, but they got to work for it in terms of if there's bookings on, they're helping with the bookings. If we need someone to clean, we do have a cleaner that comes through, but if we need something tidied, that's on them. But I think it's important because, bro, I imagine like if I was back in those days when I was 16, 17 and I had someone like myself in a studio that was like, come and this is yours too. All you got to do is help a little bit. It's like a very fair trade.
yeah, for sure.
If they need cameras, they can take my cameras. Like, they know that if they need an idea for something, they'll come and say, Nick, how do I light this, or how do I make this effect work? They got me at 24/7 at their mercy to ask me anything. So it's kind of like a fair trade in terms of there's no full-time employees as such, but it's more like a family vibe. It's like a family business, bro. Everyone's just chipping in to do their part. But like, none of us make money from the studio. Any money the studio makes just goes back into the studio.
Yeah.
The whole point of the studio, it was never a venture where I was like, again, like a kid, I was like, I don't want to make money from it. I just want it to pay for itself. And bro, the first year and a half was hard, like really hard. I had to pay rent myself. Ty helped me out with the rent sometimes where he could. Ty was the main investor at the start. But it got tough, bro, like real tough.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask next, to be honest. I was going to ask what did that first year look like? You know, you had companies reaching out to you, but I know that a factory and a unit and something as big as that to that scale is a big investment, you know, financially anyway.
So we were all the things I'd learnt from being young and dealing with corporates, I was able to include on this. So the cameras in the podcast studio, there's 30 grand worth of cameras there. But I was able to reach out to Sony and be like, hey, let's do a deal together. I'll help you, you help us. And Sony's been massive help for us.
Wow.
Rode Microphones, I hit them up. They've been a huge help for us. Nanlite and Kupo and all these camera brands, they love seeing the stuff in the studio. So they've been a help to us. So it's like learning that little hustle I had as a kid. Because as I said, like, we never really had money or anything. But, bro, when I was like 17, 18, I would email all these camera companies like, hey, I got 20,000 subscribers or whatever I had back then. Send me a GoPro and I'll make a video and tell everyone to buy it from you. And I'd send 100 emails and get 2 back.
Yeah.
But I got help from a lot of companies back in the day. And that like kind of taught me to hustle because it's a fair trade, bro. Like, it's not like I'm a, influencer asking for a free food at a cafe or something. I'm going to tell my 8,000 followers or anything. It's like, I got 20,000 kids that care about filmmaking. And I really like your product and I can't afford your product. So let's work together.
Yeah.
So bringing that to the studio has helped heaps. Obviously having people involved like Ty has been huge for us. But the first year it was tough, bro. It was like rent's expensive, everything. Like you think, bro, if I told myself 3 years ago how much money I was making now, I would not believe it.
Yeah.
But it goes so quick. I'm by no means rich. It's just like it comes in, bro, and goes out. Running a business is just expense after expense after expense. And it's just like, that's been the biggest learning curve for me for the last few years. It's just like, especially having, as you said, having expenses like a factory, having expenses like insurance, all these things just add up, bro. Having the cleaners there, having this there, that there. So that first year, and Tui's opened so many businesses. He would always tell me, look, it's not going to take off from the start. And I'm like, no, I know. But I get frustrated when it wasn't taking off. And then it's at the point now where I can like happily say I haven't had to put $1 in myself for all year now. We're getting to the point where we're upgrading different things. I'm going to eventually put these juniors on as staff if they want to be. And it's just like, yeah. But as I said, it was that same idea. I never wanted the studio to make money. I didn't know if it could. I just wanted it to pay for itself. And then we all have a free place to call home. But now I've seen the success with the studio. I'm like, this could be. Maybe we open another one. Maybe we do this. Maybe we do that. Yeah. People all over the country asking us to open. Oh, open one in Melbourne, we'll run it for you. Open one in Queensland, we'll run it for you. Because people see what we have. And the problem is, with that, it's like what I said before. Anyone can open a concrete box, put a cycler armor and some backdrops and cameras in it and call it a day. But the crew that we have would be so hard to replicate. So opening these ones in different states would be, I'd have to find the right people.
Of course, it's the environment. It kind of reminds me of like Bloodline. I'm a big fan of, Bloodline Tattoo Parlor.
Yep.
So they had their first one in Patong Beach, and the only way they were able to open the other ones to have as much credibility as they do, like the one in Bali or Phuket now, is they've actually sent all the employees over there to run it for a year or two, And I think that was a good idea because I feel like they've all got the same culture, every single one of their studios. I've been to them all. But if you were to do 2.7 over and just open one in Melbourne, bro, it's never going to hit the same way it does. You'd have to have
100%.
some kind of understanding on that, street culture environment.
100%. And like there are people that we would trust with it, but we also understand that it's not going to happen overnight and we need to perfect this one first. And like theoretically, we only opened January last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So we've been open, September now?
Yeah.
So pretty much. So we've been open a bit over a year and a half. Bro, when I tell you like the stress I went through the first year, it was crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm too stubborn to like, I'll go down with the ship, you know what I mean? I knew that it could be something, bro. And then we had a few switch ups at the end of last year and it kind of lit a fire under my butt a bit. And then I just went hard with marketing this year. And it's funny because again, we're just making fun videos, bro. I don't know how much of the 2.7 content you've seen.
I've seen a lot of it, bro.
Like, have you seen like the one where it's like choose your character?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just us like...
And you're kind of like spawning in.
Yeah. So that's just us like, oh, this would be funny if we did this. Or the trip one with Majdi where he trips and scans a car.
Yeah.
Seeing things online that are going viral and going, how can we do our own spin on it?
Yeah.
And we have so much fun, bro. Like, I really want to start doing a YouTube again, but just making it about the behind the scenes at the studio because... Yeah. We get an idea and we're all laughing. We're having like the best time. And we were talking about it yesterday. Like that video alone has Ty Tuivasa, Jerome Luai, Bizzer in it, right? If you were Combank and you wanted those three in your commercial, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. And then you want me to shoot it for you too and have our team work on it. That's a lot of money. So we have all this at our like reach easily. Yeah. And it's just funny that we're able to do that and just have fun and have the best time, bro. Like you got to come through. Like it's the best. Like money doesn't buy that stuff. And it really fills my cup like it used to at the Skatepark back in the day. But it's funny because all these other studios, I know people that work in different studios and I know people that use different studios too. And they're always saying, they say that like 2.7 sets the bar with how you guys market. And I'm like, that's pretty cool because it was literally the start of this year. We had a team meeting where like, this isn't working. It has the potential to work, but we need to step up. And I was lucky, good friends of mine, Corey and Brendan, they run a digital marketing company called Epsilon. So they're like the goats of what they do. And it's just like, our content's really good. They're really good at marketing our content. And it's just like,
Yeah.
it's been, bro, and they've helped us like develop the business a bit too. Like for ages it was, oh yeah, just email us and then we'll let you know what spots are available. And Brendan's like, no, you need a booking system that people, he goes, I didn't believe that people would book without asking first. I'm like, I don't get why people would do that. Put a booking system on, bro. I remember that next day I got a notification on my watch and it was like, you've got a booking. I was like, no way. And then it's just from there, bro, people just coming in. We got an ad running at the moment. I'm not sure if you've seen it, of Ty, and it's like a fake press conference.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's mad. That's a
So
mad video.
that's returning crazy bookings, bro.
Yeah.
And like people come, oh, I saw the ad of Ty. There's another one of me talking about the podcast studio, and people are like, oh, I saw the ad that you're in. That's why we booked. And I'm like, fuck, it's sick that the ads are working now. So now it's just staying on top of it and coming up with cooler ads.
Yeah, that's so sick. I'm going to come back to this in a sec, this part, but I'm curious, when it comes to, it's a typical set. So say if it wasn't just at 2.7, say it was working with Russell, say any set, how many jobs are usually diversified? Do you have the guys who are setting up cameras, who are taking it, and then different guys who are doing certain parts of the editing and the transitions and things? Yep. And then do you have separate guys who are the creative ideas, things like that? But so far you've told me when you have Coolridge reach out, for example, like we want to be able to do this, within the first 3 seconds, you got to capture someone's attention. That's, to me, that's marketing. Then you've got, you know, your ideas of your automatically with shutter exposure, blah, blah, blah. So it sounds like you've got a lot of different jobs kind of comprised into one with yourself, you know? And a big set is that usually multiple people doing different things.
Yeah, like a movie has hundreds of people in it, bro.
Yeah.
You got your director, then you've got your first AD, second AD, third AD that are assistants to that director. Then you've got your producers. Sometimes, like the last film I did had like 20 producers on it. Most of the time it's about 5. Then you've got your camera department. So you've got your DOP, who's director of photography, the main, he's the Donnie. Then you've got your other camera operators. So you've got A cam operator, B cam operator, or first operator, second operator. Then those operators are each got camera assistants, first ACs, second ACs, third ACs, etc. Then those guys have got assistants. Like it's just like, it's actually amazing watching a film happen and all these people are working together. But it was very weird for me because I had this background of doing everything myself at the skate park to then be put in a situation where I'm doing one tiny little bit of it. But the cool thing is working with Russell, the production company that we worked at, bro, when I started, there was probably 12 employees. When I left, there was 3.
Yeah, wow.
So we're a very small team. And
why did it go from 12 to 3? Because everyone was taking on more workload, like, or
people kind of come and go, bro. And as Russell kind of started other ventures, he didn't need as many people, and it's just kind of, it's, you know, it's life. But being such a small team, I had to wear a lot of hats. And Russell likes to throw me in the deep end a lot, and I think that's intentional in terms of, hey man, I want you to try a music video, or hey man, I want you to shoot this thing for the Rabbitohs, or I want you to build me a website, or whatever it is. And I've just always had that thing like, oh, there's an opportunity I need to take it, I'm going to learn how to do it, and I'll teach myself. And Joe, that I worked a lot with, he's very good at wearing different hats as well. So together we were just able to do a lot of things. And I think like the future of content, I guess you could call it, is like these smaller crews, bro. Like back in the day, to shoot it, like prime example, I shot this thing with my friend Jay for Combank the end of last year. They had a crew of maybe, I don't know, 30 to 40 people shooting the TVC, so the TV ad. The social part of it was Jay and I. Granted that I didn't shoot it. We just came up with the ideas and then I edited it all. So we got the camera guy that was shooting the TV stuff to also shoot the social stuff for us. So they had a crew of 40, we had a crew of 2. They got the TV done, we got the same amount of videos done together. Obviously, a smaller production value because we don't have 40 people.
Yeah.
But we were able to get the footage off them and then the next day have a rough cut of what we want, and Jay and I starting to, you know, fine tune it before we take it to the client. And I feel like there's always going to be the space for those big crews and high production value, but the further we go on, we're able to add a lot of production value to a smaller crew and wear a few more hats, but it keeps the cost right down for the client. So where they're spending, I don't know, anywhere from 500,000 to $1 million on a TV ad, we can do it for 50K, 100K max.
Fuck, bro. It's like, it sounds like, do you think that whole industry's dying off and social media is taking over, or it hasn't quite reached
I don't
that?
think it's dying off. I think there's always, with your streaming services and stuff, there's always going to be room for that. There's always going to, films aren't going anywhere. TV series are obviously way, like I'm sure you know, but remember as a kid, there was like no TV series like what there is today.
Yeah.
The production value in episodes being hundreds of millions of dollars for a Games of Thrones episode or whatever.
Yeah.
That's us not going anywhere. But I think the rise of content in terms of social media, because social ads are way, a much bigger ROI than a TV ad these days. I think it's smaller crews are on the rise and maybe bigger crews aren't going to be needed as much with ad campaigns and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I guess I didn't think about it that way. I was kind of thinking maybe it was taking over industries, but TV was a good metaphor because it's just added addition to what already existed. Like there's still a movie every Thursday at the cinemas and there's still $300 million budgets on Marvel and shit.
Yeah.
But now we also have $2 million budgets on episodes for Marvel and shit like that. And now we just also have an extra 100K on fucking social media ads and shit. Yeah, that's cool. All right, that's cool. So some of the content that has been filmed out of 2.7 have been phenomenal. Like you've had the 1.4 music video shoots. You've had, it was sick, and I saw you did the cover photo for Take Flight. You know that photo of
with the paper planes.
Paper planes.
Yeah,
I love that photo, bro. I've always loved that.
That was another like prime example, bro. Wings said to me, "Is like, I said to Wings, I'm like, because I'm not the best photographer, but I get by. But I want to become a much better photographer. How do you get better? You practice." I said to Wings, I'm like, I got this idea with, because his branding's Take Flight and he uses a little paper plane. I'm like, let's like have you and then a bunch of paper planes. Or at the start, it was him just throwing a paper plane. I just wanted to show the plane coming towards the camera. And then when we were doing it, I'm like, what if we just threw a bunch more planes around, just see what happens? And it's like those kind of, sometimes when you're just, that's why I love working with my friends so much, because you just try and shit and then it works. And like he loved that photo and I got a really good response to that photo. So it's like, yeah, I think that's why it's so important just to, sometimes you don't need thousands of dollars to do anything. You just make a couple paper planes and try some shit.
That's fucking so sick. Mind you, the cameras and shit you got, like I can't even imagine how much money you've spent on cameras over the time, bro. Because like I've seen the BTS shoots you've done at 2.7 and that's insane. Eh?
Definitely, bro. But I mean, I used to think it was all about the gear, but as I gotten older, I'm like, it's really not. Like if you had like these little cameras, for example, the way I think about it is that camera right there is 10 times better than any camera was 20 years ago, and they were still doing cool shit then. So it's, if you have a good idea, bro, like the stuff people are doing with phones now is insane.
Yeah.
I actually get intimidated when someone hands me a phone and says, "Can you film this?" Like I feel weird because it's so small and I'm not used to it. But it's like, have you ever read Diary of a CEO? Stephen Bartlett's
I listened
book?
to his podcast. I haven't read
His book's really good, but he talks about leaning in. So you need to lean into new things like UGC content, they call it, shooting content on your phone. Because if you don't lean in, you lean out from it. One day it's going to take over and you're going to get left behind. So I've now had to learn how to create content with a phone. And some of the results, imagine this camera is better than cameras I had shooting YouTube back in the day.
Yeah.
So it's, I used to be, and as you're right, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on cameras probably.
That's fucking crazy.
And it's like, when in reality, I probably use a fifth, not even a tenth of what I've got on most productions.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's a trap that a lot of creators fall into. They always think they need the best of everything. In reality, you don't. If you've got good lighting, good camera settings, and composition is key too. So getting your frame right.
Yeah, that's mad. What's been some of the maddest collaborations you've worked with over the last year and a half since you started 2.7? Because the ones I'm aware of that are big for me, because it's kind of like to do with my upbringing. It's all the rap scene. So the 1-4, the Take Flight, they're big for me. The Jeremy Luai and Bizarre stuff's sick.
Yeah.
I like that you guys have all got a great understanding on what social media is. You know, I can tell just from the content of how good it is. One of my favorite posts ever was Jeremy Luai and Biz's post on after the Origin game. Did you see the one where it was like a photo of when they had that, I think there was like 15 Maroon guys and there was just the two of them.
Yeah.
And then they post a photo of that and then you swipe and it was the Dragon Ball Z photo of fist pumping and they collaborated. I thought that was the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Those boys, they're so funny.
Yeah.
But man, I think that's cool as well. It's like going on the Western Sydney thing too. Like you've just mentioned 1-4, Take Flight, Jerome and Bizza, who are all from the West.
Yeah.
And the studio, obviously in the West. It's like Western Sydney has this huge force coming from it right now. I remember growing up as a kid, like you wouldn't tell people you were from the West because it was embarrassing. But you felt kind of like belittled, I guess.
Especially like Penrith and stuff.
Bro.
Oh, it was.
I used to tell people I lived in the Blue Mountains.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. In reality, I lived in the bottom of Penrith. But
yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's this force that can't be ignored now, and everyone's on top of it, and everyone's kind of figured out how to rig the system to work for them. So your Bizzes and Romies have figured out that their personalities are so key. Bizz is the most loved person in NRL. He can get away with anything he wants. We always talk about it. He's just got this cheeky attitude, bro. He comes to the studio and some of the shit he says, I'm like, you can only say that because of who you are. If I said that, I get arrested or whatever it is, you know. But yeah, we've all and we all help each other out. But those boys are switched on, bro. When they came to me with the idea of Universe 7, that's why I've helped them so much, because I knew that it comes from a good place with them. To them, it's not about making millions of dollars off it. It's about setting up a future for them for after football. But they've got such a great understanding of socials and how things work. And it's cool. It makes content shoots for them so much better.
Yeah.
But we've done, so we do Universe 7. Obviously, you said Take Flight. When Wings approached me about moving the show to the studio, I was like, it was, again, things were starting to align. Then he mentioned that. I'm like, yes, let's do it. We're actually starting a new series together too.
I didn't know that was filmed out of 2-7, the show.
Whole show is,
Wow. Because I message him all the time, to be honest. I'm always trying to get him as a guest. But one of the things I asked him was, where is it that you shoot? Now, I never got a reply, but I've never been able to figure that out.
So what was the first episode he did? I'd say he's been at the studio at least 6-7 months now.
Wow. So he's done a lot there.
Yeah, he's done heaps there. And then, he runs out of there. You mentioned the 1-4 video. We've had Barker shoot clips there. Ty brings a lot there too. So he's done campaigns with eBay there, with Neds. The UFC has had Embedded shot there. We've had like all the footy players come through. Latrell Mitchell comes through and uses it. Fox Adokars come through and used it.
I seen you did something with Latrell as well. Did you go up to, was that Northern Territory?
No, we went to Bree Warren together.
Where's that?
So it's like out, it's out near Burke.
Oh, yeah. About 8 hours away or something, mate. 9 hours away.
Mish.
Yeah.
That was sick. So I do a lot with them. Adokar doesn't do Let's Trot the pod there, but we've shot the Let's Trot brand there before. Do you know the band Sticky Fingers?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they do their pod there.
I didn't even know they had a pod. That's mad.
Yeah. Bro, we've had some random people come through, like Marty and Michael were there the other day. Those Facebook guys.
Yeah, they're sick. I like Marty and
they're
Michael.
funny. Do you follow basketball at all?
Nah.
Okay, so back you might remember the show back on MTV. There used to be a show called I don't remember what it was called, but it was about the Ball family. Big Baller brand was their thing, and their dad came out and used the studio, which was just like the biggest wig out for me. We actually interviewed him, which was sick. And then what else have we had? We've had I've shot various commercials there. I shot Omnipod, which is a diabetes technology that they're bringing out. I've shot Nerva, which is another medical thing. I've shot far out. Bro, we shot so much there. But we've had like Adidas there, like we've had various athletes. Cleary comes and does his pod, or has been on a pod there. Tyson Pedro does his pod there. It's been a wigger, bro. Even Ty likes to use it for after parties, which which is questionable sometimes, but he's brought all kinds of people through there, bro. And then what else?
Did you collab with Mr. C? Did he ever go there?
Yeah, he's been there. He's been on Take Flight there, and he was also on Falcon. So Falcon runs a show called Hellos. He's been on his show as well. He's a legend though. He's a good dude, really nice guy. Yeah, bro. We got, when you come, you'll see when you walk in the door to the left, we got this wall of Polaroids. And kind of like, we try and get everybody that comes through on there, but we get lazy sometimes. So
Yeah.
there'll be a couple of weeks where it doesn't get any, then we'll add 5 or 6 on. So we always try and get everyone that comes through, and people come in, they're like, holy shit, he's been there, or he's been there, or she's been there. And
Wow.
it's pretty cool. But yeah, it's you'll see for yourself when you come out, bro. It's I'm not biased because I'm just very proud of the community we built and the experience we built there. It's very unique.
That's sick. Because I do see there's a lot of companies that do come through that aren't necessarily to do with Western Sydney street culture at all. You have all sorts of people.
We've had the coolest thing for me and the biggest wig out for me is the first year, that tough year. Everybody that came through, I either knew them or I was one person away from them. So how did you hear about us? Oh, you shot with blah, 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 and they told me to come here. Now people come through and I'm like they've never heard of me. They've never heard of, some people haven't heard of Ty. And like in an industry that's so big but so small, again, not sounding like a wanker, but I feel like most creators would have an idea of who I am. And now there's these people coming in that like have no idea who I am, and I'm like, this is cool because it means that it's working.
Yeah,
and
taking on a different industry now.
And it makes me a better creative because I get to watch how all these other creatives, like a cyclorama, for example. So the cyc's that big white wall in the corner. It's a big white wall, but you get 10 creators in there and you're going to get 10 different results. So for me, watching how other people come in and adapt to the space and use the space has made me a better creator because I'm like, oh, I saw that guy try this, I want to try that. Yeah.
Fuck, that's so hectic. That's mad. So you got a podcast studio in there as well. How often does a podcast studio get used?
Pumped, bro. It gets pumped now,
yeah,
which is cool. It was a bit quiet for a while, and honestly, none of us had run a pod studio before. I was lucky that my friend Tony, who I worked with when we were working with Russell, he's an amazing sound engineer. So I was able to ask him some things, and Ty's connection with Mark Boris, he had us in his studio and showed us how his setup works. So we had like an idea of how to run a podcast, but I mean, we're all over it now. Tuesday's the GOAT. She's our little in-house podcast producer now. She runs I don't know, maybe a dozen shows by herself.
Wow.
She got like Beyond Barriers, which is Aidan Perry and Indy Cleary, so Nathan Cleary's sister. They got a show. She does. She helps James Price. He's a business evaluator.
Yeah, I know James Price.
He's a good guy, man. He looks after us all. And she does so many of the pods by herself. Yep. So we've created this really easy to use workflow, and we get nice results out of it. So yeah, the pod studio, bro, I would say every other day there's at least 2 bookings in there. Wow. It gets used way more than the photo studio.
Yeah.
Which I wish the photo studio got used more.
Yeah.
It's obviously a more expensive thing. So the pod studio doesn't generate as much. But the cool thing is, bro, people come in for the pod studio and see the photo studio and they're like, I had no idea that was there. Or they come in for the photo studio and see the pod studio and they're like, I had no idea this was here. And also, I need to do something about it, but I kind of like it. People come in and don't realize how big the factory is because they just see the cycle, they just see the pod studio. The pod studio is pretty small, like it's smaller than this. But we've got 2 separate rooms. We've got a switch room, control room, and then the pod room. But the photo studio is massive, and people just see the corners of it in content, so they don't understand how big it is. But I kind of like that. I'd rather it be that than they come in and go, oh, this is way smaller than what I thought.
Yeah, true. Yeah, no, that's mad. I didn't even understand that podcast studio could rent out that big. I've made friends with this guy Nick who runs a studio over in Penrith. He just turned like his garage, I think, into a thing, and he's renting it out. I've known 5, 6, 7 different podcasts that have popped out of his garage now. Yeah. And to know that 27's putting them out every couple of days, couple different sessions, you know.
I think what makes it easy is we've got different packages too. So there's a lightweight package. Someone like yourself that is experienced would come in and just use the room. and they handle everything. They'd bring a maid in to produce it for them. And there's a middleweight package, which doesn't get used very much. It's you get a producer, so you most likely get Tuesday or Seb. They'll run the show for you and then give you the data at the end. You go edit. The most popular one's probably the heavyweight, which is you literally turn up, do your interview and leave, and then 2 days later, a fully edited 4K file arrives, and if you need us to do your cut downs, we'll do those too. So it's just like, it's making it easy for people, bro. I think people realize time is money, and if we can save you time, you just have to turn up with your guests, do your thing and leave, and then everything else is done for you, then. And it's not expensive, bro. Like, I know other studios are charging like $1,000 an episode.
Wow.
And if you book, I think it's 8 episodes in heavyweight, it ends up being like under $400 an episode. $350, $400.
Yeah, mad.
Which for 3 Sony cinema cameras, 4 Shure microphones, a producer, and an edit is like super cheap.
And not doing any of the work yourself is fucking crazy, bro. That's for me, $400 is hours worth of time, bro. Yeah, it's wild. That's so, oh my God. So what about when people come in to hire out the photography side of things and do content? What are those kind of packages like? I'm assuming you have some where you do just, you can rent the space completely.
Yep.
And is there some where you do a lot of the work?
So there's been this like fine line that we've been trying to clear up, I guess, the last few months, where people go, oh yeah, I want to book it. Which photographer do I get? And it's like, oh, you don't get a photographer. Like, this is just hiring the space. And then other people will come to me and be like, oh, I want to hire you to do my shoot for me. And I give them a price and like, oh, yeah, sweet. Does that include your studio? So it's like, when now I think I've finally developed, again, I've developed the idea in my head. I just need to implement it now. Is I'm going to build a thing called the roster, I think I'm going to call it. And it will be like a package builder on the website. So you can go, oh, yeah, I want the studio. I'm going to need a whole day. Click that. And then you'll have like myself and Madge and then the juniors. So let's say you've got, I don't know, a $500 budget. That's not enough to cover me, but it can cover one of the juniors. So you can select, oh yeah, I'll take him. Or if it's a bigger company coming in, they've got a couple grand to spend, and they can choose me or Madge. And then we'll just build it out that way and then charge everything through the studio and then contract to myself or Madge or whoever. Just, again, making that one step easier for people. Because a lot of people come in and, just don't understand that it's still a new thing in the West, the photo studio. And I think the thing that confuses is a lot of creatives out there call themselves a studio. So, like, for example, I might call myself, I don't know, Clean Studios or something. But I don't have a studio. I'm just a production company. I've just used the term studios. So that's kind of confused people a bit. But we're finally like, that's why we did that press conference video with Ty, where it's like, is a photographer included? No, it's not, but we can source you one. We've got 5 in-house creatives that are really talented. We all kind of look after people as well. Like, if they want to come to the studio, for example, and hire me, I'll charge them a little less than what I would if I was to go and do it somewhere else, just to help them out. But man, there's so many talented creatives now.
Yeah.
I said, I got to step up my game all the time because these youngins are like right behind me. Just
Yesterday I sat down with Caleb Coronius. You ever heard of him? He's got a very good mind for shit like that as well. Like, he hires himself out. He doesn't have the studio as well, and that's why I'm curious. Like with 2-7, I think a lot of people see the content you guys put out and like the whole creative process, like the street vibe, like all that stuff. So I'm wondering, is that something that people could just like, yo, I just want you guys to make my brand look the way you make your brand look?
Yeah, so the way they do that is hire the studio and hire me, or hire the studio and hire one of our shooters. Obviously, I've got more experience than the juniors, but they learn everything from me anyway. So it's kind of like they really surprise me sometimes. They'll do something and be like, this is sick. Like,
mad.
Good stuff. Like, you've stepped up. So it's, I guess it's like anything, bro. Like, if you, the way I think about it, and this isn't to like diss fences, for example. If you wanted a fence in your front yard, you go to 10 different fencing companies, you get 10 different quotes. At the end of the day, you're going to get a fence. And maybe some of them are, I don't know, straighter than others, or I'm guessing most of them would use the same materials if you're getting a colourborn fence, for example. But at the end of the day, you're all going to get a fence no matter who you go with. One might be more expensive, cheaper, whatever. But if you hire 10 different photographers to take a headshot for you, let's say in the pod room, you're going to get 10 entirely different experiences. So it's like there's all these like variables in there. So if people come to the studio and go, oh, I want this video, I'm like, well, what do you actually like about that video? They go, oh, I just like the effect that you use. I'm like, okay, sweet. So these 5 people over here are able to do that effect. But you kind of really need to, because if someone comes to me and goes, I just want what you've got, but for my business, then I'm like, fuck, like there's too many moving parts. I need to understand why you like what we've got.
Wow. That's a lot deeper than I thought it would be, bro.
Yeah, it's like everyone has a different eye, bro. Like it's cool to see. And it's not even just photographers, it's anybody. Like I'm sure you look at the world differently to how I look at the world. And it's not that we look at the world better than one another. It's like we just got a different, it's like how you were brought up, where you take your inspiration from, all that kind of stuff plays factor.
Yeah. Well, that's what making me think when you say that answer. Like, I guess if I looked at the way 2/7 content is affecting me emotionally or just nostalgically, someone else could look at it and we could both say, oh, we want them to do our stuff, but we both are actually after different things at the end of the day as well.
You might be chasing the fun vibe, whereas someone else might be chasing the production style vibe.
Yeah.
So it's like there's so many different factors at play, and it's crazy, bro. Most people just don't know what they want, which is totally fine because there's aspects in life where I have no idea what I want. But it gets confusing sometimes, bro.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Especially, I feel like as creative, I'm sure you're the same with your show and stuff. You're very hard on yourself.
Yeah.
And you want it to be good. You want it to be something you're proud of. And you might go, oh, fuck, I hate how I said XYZ in that episode. But no one else is going to notice.
Yeah.
That's just a personal thing.
Bro, first 30 episodes, I was watching the way I blinked, bro. I'm going, why do I blink like that?
100%.
Yeah, that's so cool. I think I skipped past a big chunk as well I want to get to. Back in, I couldn't even tell you, probably about 5-6 years ago, I think. I noticed that you were doing collaborations with Mitchos.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a couple videos shot there, especially there was one with Husky, and there was another one that I seen with, I think his name's DBL. I think DSB.
Oh, LDS.
LDS, that's it. Because I remember where I was when I first watched that video clip too. And did you film that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one in the burger shop?
Yeah. That's crazy. Because I remember my mate, I think my mate told me he's mates with that kid.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, check it out. He just did
He's
his
from
song.
Russel, that kid,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that makes sense.
And because I think my mate's at Castle Hill, I think. And he was like, oh, look at this, my mate's doing this. And I'm like, oh, that's sick. So, yeah, again, another timeline jump, bro. I've watched the content that you've made growing up.
Yeah, I feel like, as you said, bro, everything kind of blends in together. The skate shit turned into the rap shit turned into like the 2/7 shit. And then it's this whole Western City movement behind it now. But the Menace era was sick, bro, because essentially how that happened was, do you know Curvy, the rapper?
Yeah, of course.
So I've been friends with his sister since we were like 12.
Well.
And she would always say to me, oh, you should film a video for my brother. I'd never filmed a music video before. And then I was just chasing a challenge. This is, fuck.
Curve lives on that street over.
Yeah, he's from around here somewhere.
Yeah.
But we shot a video called Growing Up in the West. It was the first video.
Oh, bro, that's my favorite song by him.
Oh, that was the first video I ever shot.
I seen him the other day and I was like, bro, like that freestyle you just did on Take Flight was amazing. And Growing Up in the West is my favorite song, bro.
Bro, so we shot that video and I had no idea how music, I didn't even know. I had to ask people, I'm like, do they actually sing or do they lip sync? Like I had to research so much. And then we shot that and I kind of got a taste.
That?
Yeah.
Fuck my life.
Yeah.
What the fuck, bro?
And then from that, I was like, oh, yeah, this is pretty fun. And then Menace posted a story and said, looking for a videographer to help me with a clip. And I was like, I don't think I followed him at the time. I think someone sent it to me. And I was like, oh yeah, I just did that Curvy one. It was pretty fun. So we shot a clip called North Face Killer. And like you go watch these videos now and they're average, but
nah, but back then
they
that
were
was
okay.
culture. That was culture.
That was culture.
Yeah.
And then we had pretty good success with that one. And then we shot one called Thoughts. No, we shot Heartless. We shot it in my my family owned a butterfly museum.
Yeah.
So we shot it in there, and then it was just like, oh, let's just try different things. And these videos were like $1,000 budgets, bro. Like nothing. That goes so fast. And then we ended up going our own ways a couple years ago, I got really busy. He needed work done. I didn't have the time. And then recently we came together again and we're like, hey, let's do another clip. And I'm like, yeah, I'm down. I'm in a position now where my time's a little more manageable. I've got a good crew around me now, so I can do these jobs and help people. And to be fair, we did have a budget. G'd Up put up a budget for the recent video, which was cool.
Oh, that's cool.
So we they're giving back and whatnot. And then he came to me, he's like, I just want a phone box. And I'm like, all right, let's get a phone box. So we did this. It's all in the studio too.
Has that come out?
Yeah, it came out like a week ago.
Yeah, okay.
And then again, I always try and add like one little thing. It's a very simple video. There's 2 scenes. There's one scene he's on the cycle and he's talking to somebody and you can't really tell who it is. And then there's one scene in the phone booth. So every time he's talking to himself, he's talking to that person on the cycle. And every time he's talking about his mum or talking to his mum or talking to his kids, he's on the phone. So I don't know how many people pick that up, but if you watch it with that knowledge, you'll understand. And then at the end, this person he's been rapping to the whole time raises his head and it's him. And they're both on the screen at the same time. The other one walks away as if like that's the old Menace leaving. This is the new Menace now. And it was just like a tiny little effect, but I always like to just add a little cherry on top.
Yeah, that's so sick. That's mad. So, bro, just the fact that you shot those videos, like I can't tell you how many times I've watched that growing up in the West video clip. It's probably in the top 5 Western Sydney songs I listen to be honest with you.
Bro, you know where we got that idea from?
It's the part 1. There was never a part 2 either.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's when Old Town Road came out.
Oh,
remember that song?
Yeah.
And they were like cruising through the city on the horse. I'm like, bro, we need to do that in the hood. Like, go to Cranebrook. Bro, he's got a mad following, bro. Like, we turned up to Cranebrook and the whole city came out. Whole town came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. He's got a lot of pull. Some of those like gutter rappers, like Enter, Cursor, Curvy, example, their following's like cult, bro.
Yeah, bro.
It's like very rare.
I think it's because we didn't have anything else, growing up.
Yeah.
I guess we did have the scooter scene, the skate park scene, but
they kind of blend together though, huh?
100%.
Because it's like music doesn't cost anything. I mean, recording music does, but writing music and listening to music is a very cheap thing.
Yeah.
Hanging out at the skate park again didn't cost anything. And I found like the cool thing about the skate park was like I was never poor, bro. We struggled, but I was never like, I don't want to act like I came from nothing because my mum and my grandparents always tried to put I always had a roof over my head and they always tried the best they could for me. But you kind of hang out you end up at the skate park with all these people who are kind of like outcasts in a way.
Yeah.
Like don't belong at football or don't belong in, sports or don't belong in, they're just all kind of like doing their own thing. And that's why we all click together. And I feel like you learn so much from the skate park. You learn about street sense. You learn about
I learned etiquette at the skate park.
Everything,
bro. You got to say I'm in. You know what I mean? If you don't say I'm in, then someone else is gonna snake you.
They're your boys, bro. Like if something kicked off at the skate park. Like bro, I remember one time. This is hopefully this doesn't come back to haunt us. But I remember one time I was filming at Gemmo and I looked over. And I used to park my car on the grass at Gemmo. I saw someone leaning in my back window because I had my window down. I'm like, who's that? And then I saw my camera bag come out and this guy started running.
Oh.
And I was like, I was mid, like someone was doing a line that I was filming and I started running. I had my skateboard. I think I put my camera down and I just started skating. And are you familiar with Gemmo Skate Park?
Jamison Skate Park, yeah, I'm familiar.
So, there's like all the netball courts and stuff there and there's a big car park that goes around it. So they're taking off in the car park in a car and I run and I'm like skating. They got stuck in traffic. And I don't know, I ended up calling 000 because I didn't know what to do, bro. And I forgot because I caught up to the car, put my phone in my pocket. And then I don't know why, bro. I was young, dumb, full of adrenaline. Picked my skateboard up and smashed their back window.
Yeah.
I just seen these people. And, bro, again, this is pre-Russell. This is pre-me making money. My camera was everything to me.
Yeah.
I think, it was my laptop that they took. My laptop was everything. And I remember this was around the Arnott's time because they took my hard drive with it. And that's what I was worried about too. It had all my Arnott stuff. So I smashed it. And then across the road, there used to be this plumbing supplies place. I'm not sure if it's still there.
This thing is a race. It's still there, isn't it?
Yeah, it might be. These tradies were like, what's happened? I'm like, they just stole my laptop. And they're like, get in the back of the ute. Bro, I'm on York Road in the back of this ute. We're chasing. And what had happened was these guys have opened my laptop, seen the Nickeh Films wallpaper and pulled over. And this one guy gets out and he's like, I'm so sorry, bro. I didn't realize it was yours. And again, young, dumb, full of adrenaline, going through puberty still. I just punched this guy in the face. And I just grabbed my laptop. And then when I punched him, dumbest decision, because when I punched him, the tradies are pissed off by this stage, and the other 4 got out of the car, and I'm like, all right, I'm fucked here. I can't. I'm not a fighter, bro. I've never been a fighter. I didn't grow up with brothers to bash me or anything. I'm done here. And then I just look over my shoulder, bro, and the only thing I can compare it to is 300, the movie. I just see this force coming, like I'm talking 30, 40 screaming teenagers with scooters, bikes, skateboards. Because what happened was, when we coming out of that car park, we did a loop around the block and ended up at the same spot across the road from the skate park. And they had caught on to what had happened. I don't know if someone told them or if they... Anyway, I just remember my friend, I won't say his name just because I don't want to get him in shit, but he just put his scooter through their front windshield. Then a scooter went through a back windshield. This lady got out. She's like, I'm recording all of this. Anyway, that car was 100% a write-off. Like every inch of this car was dented. And then I remember I got home. After that, I was like, I'm going to go home. Like I felt sick. That had just happened. And I pulled into the driveway and there's a cop car in my driveway. And I'm like, fuck. And anyway, I walk in and my mum's like, take your phone out of your pocket. I took my phone out. I called 000. And it was on my phone the whole time. They heard everything. They heard the riot. They heard everything. And the copper was like, I can't remember if he was there or if it was on the phone. It's so long ago now. But he was like, from what we heard, you got them. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, so you don't want to press charges? I suggest you don't. And I'm like, no. And then I remember that car just driving off. They're like, we'll fucking get you. Maybe they'll get me now that they know who I am. But it was just like, that's what I mean. Like, if one was in at the skate park, everybody's in. And you learn so many different things like that. Like whether it's little things like even just like having respect for people or taking accountability for things that happen at the skate park. The other thing, it's like you try a trick 1,000 times and get pumped, but you keep going until you land the trick.
Yeah.
And although, as I said, I wasn't the biggest skateboarder, I did skate and I fucked myself up so many times, but I just keep getting back up. Because that feeling when you land the trick is euphoria. Yeah. There's nothing. So that has helped me like in life where it's been like, if I get knocked down, I'm going to get back up. Because when I finally, same thing with the studio, it was really tough for that first year, but I just kept going. With our crew, obviously, everyone's chipping in. And now it's like, we can breathe a bit. And it's like, oh, this is sick. I'm having this opportunity and you're saying it looks like such a cool place. And it does. Like that feeling is unmatched.
It's fucking mad, bro. I didn't realize how many relatabilities there would be between going to a skate park as a kid and growing up. And I guess it makes sense why it's so around the same genre as the gutter rap scene as well. Because at a skate park, you also learn you're going to get hurt. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like you got to get back up. Like I learned to watch out for fucking, I don't know what you'd call them, but guys were there trying to like, you know, oh, bro, my thing's better than yours. We've got to trade this. You know what I mean?
All that stuff,
a white piece with a fucking someone's bullshit.
I remember one time at Cranebrook Skate Park, like you just learn little street things. Like I remember one time this guy come up and he goes, you got a cigarette? I'm like, nah. And then he goes to my other mate. He's like, where are you from? And my mate goes, Windsor. I'm wearing Cranebrook. Where, I don't know, 16, 15. Yeah. Far from Windsor. This guy just right hooks my mate. Oh. And he was like, if any of us were going to win a fight, it was my mate, not me. Oh. And I remember this guy I don't know what he was on, bro, but like just some kind of drug rage. I remember I'm hitting him with my skateboard, trying to like get him off my mate. It's just like I'm smacking him with the trucks and it's just not affecting him. Probably a combination of being on drugs and that I just was a tiny 15-year-old. But from that point on in life, and there were, especially when I was like 16, 17, a bit older, if someone asked me, and if I was out in the street and someone sketchy asked me where I'm from, I'd say I'm from wherever I was.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if I'm in Bankstown, oh, yeah, I'm from Bankstown. oh, okay, sweet, have a good day, bro.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was at the front of a music studio in Riverwood, and the same thing happened. This sketchy dude came up. He's like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "Riverwood." He's like, "Oh, okay, sweet, sweet." And then I walked off and I saw him as someone else, and I'm like just little things like that. Like, I know to most people it's probably nothing, but you learn little things like that to just for your safety, bro.
Yeah.
Just like learning things like I remember walking through Redfern with like thousands of dollars of cameras in my bag, and just like people asking, you know, "Oh, come check this out." I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, you just learn, I guess, common sense.
Yeah.
Common street sense.
For sure. One of the biggest things I learned was when it was time to go home, bro.
Oh, 100%.
There was always a point where it's like, I should have left already. Like, this
Yeah.
is getting sketchy, eh?
100%.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I guess the rap scene, I guess I'd say that the reason it's awesome to know that you were a part of both cultures as well growing up, because there wasn't much else for us. When I say us, I mean anyone who wasn't like me at all at my age, where we had much things to relate to, because as you said, I don't have a clue who basketball players are, but I know there's LeBron, Kobe, and Jordan. That's all I know. Even football, never played a team sport in my life. I'd never been academic. I never had money growing up. I wasn't able to go do fucking cool shit, but I had the community.
Yeah.
You know, that was my life, and anything that was free and cheap was all I had. You know,
100%. And I think that's why like I related to so much of this stuff. Like, and even like I'm older than all these guys, like the 1-4 guys and all that, but like, I'm not sure if you've seen that documentary, but they talk about like, it's not a gang term, that's family. Like, that's what they got out on the street.
the Netflix doco.
Yeah. And it's not that I was never out on the street as a kid, but I just didn't feel accepted anywhere except the skate park. And that's why I can like relate to them, and I want to see like these younger creatives. And there was a prime example. There was this kid, he's so talented. He was working as a forklift operator in the studio next door, and I was putting these paintings up on the wall in the switch room, and there's like a 141, and he's looking through the window, he's like, "That's gonna be me, Nick." And I kind of laughed at him. I'm like, "Yeah, Tupper, yeah." Then the next day he come and showed me his music, and I'm like, "Bro, what?" Like, there are so many like kids that are just like insanely talented but just don't have the resources. We ended up I shot him a music video. I just did it for him as like a favor. Put it out, and it got like 40,000 hits or something, which is like pretty good for
fucking no.
a music video that with no prior kind of release. And it's just like, man, to me, if like, and not even just what I'm doing, but what people at the studio are doing, if we can have that opportunity to help other people like that, because that might be the one thing that clicks for them, that goes, I don't want to do that dumb shit anymore. I want to do music or whatever it is.
Well, all it takes is one thing, bro. You know,
100%.
I guarantee that message you got from MGP reaching out to you was a catapult of it.
Yeah.
You know, who knows what could happen if you never got that.
But that's what trips me out, bro, thinking about it. Like, that is correct, but think about like, imagine if I didn't go to the skate park the day that I met the guy that started Team Aussie Scooters, then I never would have met Ryan. Then if I didn't meet Ryan, I wouldn't have done that. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't work for Russell, and I wouldn't be here right now. It's like, that's why every decision is important. And sometimes, I don't know if you've read Green Lights, Matthew McConaughey's book, another one for you to read.
Okay.
Hectic. Sometimes red lights are just green lights in disguise. At the time you think, fuck, this is fucked. But then in hindsight, you're like, if that didn't happen, then I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Well, that's like that soldier's horse, I think it's called. I can't remember what the poem's called, but basically like this guy breaks his leg. Everyone says, "Oh, this really sucks. Your son broke his leg." And it's like, we'll see. And then the military come through and they need to enroll people into the army, and they can't enroll him because he's got a broken leg. And then the same thing kind of happens over and over again for the whole poem. I can't remember the whole thing, but it's a good metaphor for you. You never know what's going to happen. You just have to have a good attitude about it. You know, stay positive about it.
Positivity is key.
Yeah.
It's like something I've had to learn a lot growing up. It's like when things get overwhelming for me, or if I'm like, fuck, I can't breathe right now. Because I guess the thing with my industry is the trade-off is like people hassle you, and they're always going to hassle me. But people I've spoken to about it, they're hassling you because you're good. That's why they're hassling you. And then they want what you've got. And it's like, all right, let's say I've got I'm not going to say shoe grab because Jay doesn't hassle me, but let's say it's a shoe brand, and let's say there's a clothing brand and a rapper, for example, and maybe throw a corporate in there. So let's say a bank. So there's 4 clients, right? To them, I'm their video guy, but to me, they're one of my 4 clients. So it's like they, in their head, without even thinking about it, think that my whole world revolves around them because I'm working on their shit. But I got 4 people I'm working on shit for simultaneously. So I'll do a little bit to keep him happy, then I'm doing a bit to keep them happy. Then this person starts asking me for stuff, so I'll start working on him, and then this person wants. So there's times where I feel like I'm just getting pulled from every direction, bro. And I like feel like I can't breathe. I feel like my mood drops. Like I go home and my girlfriend will be like, "What's wrong? Like you seem angry." I'm like, "I'm not angry. I'm just really tired. I'm exhausted." Blah 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 blah. But I think it's important to remember in those times that there was times where I was hanging at the skate park wondering how am I gonna, and like if I like had 15-year-old me and 30-year-old me here and they had a chat, it's like, man, you did that, you've done that. Like 13-year-old me would be like, fuck, whereas 30-year-old me is complaining about it. Yeah. So I'm like, I know, again, I'm not saying I came from nothing, but I do relate to this comment Ty said to me one day. He's like, don't be mad about your plate being full if it was once empty. Something along those lines, which relates to Ty entirely. That kid was a proper street kid and now he's a household UFC name. But I can still relate to it in some extent because I remember not knowing where I was going to go or not knowing what I wanted to do or not having money to buy camera equipment or not, I remember being that kid that's like, how do I get someone like Adidas or Sony to know who I am? So it's like, it's, as you said, sometimes those struggle times are very important. I think that's what's kind of kept me humble over the years too. Like I've seen other people have the same success on me or even less or sometimes more and just turn into an actual dickhead. So it's like, I think I can thank my family for that though. They would never let me be like that. But those struggle times are so important.
That's fucking, I love that, dude. I love that. I love this whole story, bro. Honestly, I could pick your brain about it for hours, but we're almost at the end of the episode. I can't let it go just yet. I want to know what are you excited for coming up with 27 or Pixel? What's the other brand you got? Pixel.
So Nickeh Films is like my alias, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I got stuck with that, by the way. I made my YouTube channel and everyone used to make it like, let's say you were a scooter kid, your YouTube name would have been Doxy Scoots. Yeah. Or Doxy Skates if you're a skater. My name was Nick and I was a filmer, so it was going to be Nick Films, taken. And kids at school that day were calling me Nickeh. So like, oh, this is going to be just my YouTube name. I've been stuck with it ever since. So that is like I call it like my alias. That's like my social media name. That's, if people say, did you see the latest Pixel Park thing? They'll be like, no, what's that? Yeah. If it's the latest Nickeh Films video, people understand. Yeah. So I'm kind of stuck with that now, which I'm grateful for. But Pixel Park, when I left working for Russel, I started that because if you Google Nickeh Films, you see Skatepark and rappers. Mm-hmm. And if I'm a Google or a Combank, I'm going to look at that and be like, it's not the type of stuff we're after. So I had to create a different name to run under. So anything kind of street related still goes through Nickeh Films. Any of my corporate stuff or high-end stuff I put through Pixel Park. And then, so yeah, the two companies are Pixel Park and 27. Mm-hmm. Answer to your question, what I'm excited about with both of those? Yeah, like is anything coming up? Is there any big dreams you got? Any still... Well, I'm actually taking my first break I haven't been on a holiday since 2019. So I'm going to America. I'm taking my girlfriend to Disneyland. Mad. Early September. And I'm going to Hawaii. I'm going to go catch up with some mates in America too. Just going for like 2 weeks. So right now it's like focused on wrapping things up before I go because it's scary for me to go away. It's scary for me to leave the studio. It's scary for me to... And I've warned all of my clients, but obviously grateful for all of them, but I know for a fact when I go, they're going to be like, oh, fuck, we didn't ask him this. We didn't. So I'm just trying to avoid that as much as possible. When I get back, it's about building Pixel Park. As I said, I've never once had to look for work. So I want to see what happens if I do put a feeler out. So I'm working on building a website right now. I want to contract to more creators. I want to start giving younger creators an opportunity. A lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, can you film a video for my cafe? I've got $300 budget. as much as I'd love to help everybody, I can't. Like, I got bills to pay. But I also remember $300 to me when I was 17 was like $3 billion. So if I can create like an agency where someone comes, Pixel Park, oh yeah, I've got this cafe, I got $400 budget, I can go, yep, this is the perfect person for you, send them out. And then someone might come, oh, I got a $25,000 budget to do this, then that's when I'll go, okay, I can do it. So building that up, bro, I just want to, I mean, life's not about making money, but if I can make money while I'm sleeping, happy days.
Yeah.
So that is one way of doing that. The other way of doing that is I'm going to start doing workshops, both in person and online, teaching content creation. So I'll do like an online version that just sits on a website, and hopefully I'll market it, and hopefully it just does its thing. And then in-person thing, I want to do 2 types. I want to do one that's, well, 3 types actually. One that targets businesses, so they can send their team out and I'll teach them, which I've already actually did one of those with the Rabbitoh staff a few weeks ago. The second one is like creators. So I'll do like daily workshops. They can come in, whether it's one day to learn about filming, one day to learn about photo, one day to learn about editing, for example. But I want to make them cool. I've been thinking like, how do I make education cool? So I've got some ideas that I'm going to implement for that. Then the other one is community ones. So I want to give back, and through FTA most likely, just do like we did one for Glenmore Park High School a few weeks ago. They sent like their photography class out. We don't charge them or anything. We were laughing so much with these kids. It's so sick. We were just like setting up interview. And Majdi, my friend that works at the studio, he's so funny, bro. He's like got these high school kids that are like, you know high school kids, bro. They're too cool for everything.
Yeah.
He sits them up on a video interview and like teaches them why we put the cameras like this and that. And then he'll just say something random. Like I think he said, all right, now this guy has just taken your cookie out of the jar and you got no more cookies left. I want you to interrogate him about it. These kids start laughing, asking each other dumb questions, but they're learning at the same time. So do one that's like community based, giving back to people, one that's like helping creators excel, and then one that's like business, helping businesses. In terms of like my own work, it's just doing more of what I'm doing, bro. I'm loving what I'm doing. So hopefully on a bigger scale eventually. And then with the studio, it's just same deal. Like we're still learning, bro. No one's given us a blueprint of how to run a studio or what to do. But I know Ty's going to be back soon. And when Ty gets back, we're going to rework some things and build a plan for the future. But all we're doing right now is working. I just don't want to get comfortable, because once you get comfortable, then you drop the ball. So it's like, I've got some more ideas for some ads I want to shoot there. Want to do more events there. I feel like confident with our crew now. I want to start, we're going to offer hot desks soon. So we're going to have 2 desks upstairs where we all sit that people can come and rent for a day or a week. And then just like, yes, you get all access to, you get your computer screen, Wi-Fi, the boardroom, all that kind of stuff. But you also get to bounce ideas off other creatives and stuff while you're there, which I think there'll be a lot of value in that.
100%. Especially if they got to use like editing programs or fucking
100%.
things like that too, because most people aren't willing to go sign up for a year thing for someone they're just trying out, things like that. I'm pretty sure I run, I guess a couple of my things are paid, but so much of my shit's free.
Yeah, 100%, bro. And I think the cool thing about all that stuff is like, it's like anything. Like if you've been playing soccer your whole life, for example, learning how to pass a ball to somebody is second nature to you. But there was once upon a time as a kid where you'd kick it too far or not kick it far enough, and you're trying to figure that out. I've been doing this stuff so long now that to me, setting up ISO shutter speed, that kind of stuff, it's like blinking to me, right? But I forget that once upon a time that stuff was tough. So that's why the workshops have been so long coming, because I go, this is what I'm going to teach everyone. And then I show someone and they're like, bro, but I don't even know how to do the first part of this.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I got to go back more. So it's trying to figure out what I found valuable when I first started. And things are so different now too. Like cameras are different, technology is different. So it's like, I don't remember what I found so valuable. So I'm trying to figure that out at the moment. I'm hoping that when I have this break, this holiday, I can kind of come back with a fresh mind and fresh approach to it. But
yeah, that's mad. I find that in my trade, there's a lot of relations. You go through your apprenticeship and then you become tradesman, and then all of a sudden your next job is to now regurgitate all that information back onto someone else who's learning for the first time. And it actually does make you learn so much faster when you're now teaching someone else.
100%.
Like learning is earning, but teaching is reaching for more. It really is. And it's mad, bro. I honestly love the fact that it has been a struggle for the last year doing the factory. I love that there's so much passion behind it and work is coming. But I love the fact that you're not doing it for the money, bro. Like that's
No, I know, and you know what, bro? Like, my mum always used to say to me as a kid too. When I used to worry, she'd be like, "My mom, like, I just want to make it," and she goes, "The money will come. Just keep doing." I used to hate hearing her say that.
yeah,
Like, shut up, mom.
yeah,
I need money now.
yeah,
But it's funny, bro. Like, she was so right, and I think like most people, problem with social media today, people want instant gratification, right? They post something, doesn't get 100 likes in 10 minutes. They're like, "Oh, this is shit." But life isn't like that. And I feel like people try things now and it doesn't, like podcasts, prime example, bro. I've read an article, a Medium article the other day. 90% of podcasts don't make it past 3 episodes. And of those, 90% of them don't make it past 20.
Yeah.
And I see it, bro, because people come and try podcasts at the studio. It's totally fine to try something and not enjoy it. But if you try something and it doesn't work straight away, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons and you quit.
yeah,
So it's like, I think the important part with that is it's like, if you can find something that you like, just keep going with it, because eventually if you have good intentions and you're putting out good energy and you're actually giving it 100%, it will work.
yeah,
Whatever it is, whether it's your podcast, whether it's you want to become a rapper, like people are going to talk shit, people are going to give you hard times. But it's funny, bro, like some people that used to give me crap about hanging out at the skate park, I've run into years later and they've been like, "Is it true you work for Russel Crowe?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I have." "How did you get that?" And I'm like, "By hanging out at the skate park, bro." Like,
that's phenomenal.
like everything kind of like makes sense. And if you're going in for things for instant gratification, like prime example, everyone knows someone that started a clothing brand. They've done one drop and they're like, "Oh, I only sold 10 shirts. I'm going to give it up."
A dozen now.
But it's like, okay, so get the 10 shirts you sold, reinvest that and try it again. Try something a little bit different. Like if you're hoping to be an overnight success, I mean, there are overnight success stories, but it's just you're in it for the wrong reasons. And same thing with the studio, bro. I knew it wasn't going to be an overnight success. And it's funny, like Pixel Park and 2.7 generate very different incomes, you know what I mean? And like, let's say I get, I don't know, $5,000 for a video project I shot. I'm stoked. I'm like, "Oh, that's cool, sweet. On to the next one." But then the studio gets a $300 booking. I'm more stoked about that because I'm like, in that land, $300 is worth more to me than the 5K. So there was a few months there where I was like just smiling from ear to ear because we get booking here, booking there, booking there. But now it's like being pretty consistent. And like anything, like most of our customers are repeat customers. So if we get new customers in, I know that we're going to make a good enough impression that they'll be back.
Yeah.
It happens all the time, bro. Like even yesterday we had a company come in that sells motorbike stands. And they did a shoot there. And everyone that comes, the first thing, because we got like the nice epoxy floor, we got the big mural on the wall of Western Sydney and all this stuff. People are like, "This place is cool." I'm like, yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. But then they leave and they're always like, "Oh, man," that you can hear them. I hear them from upstairs talking about, "Oh, we should do that shoot here, or we should do that here." And I know if we can get people in the door that they get hooked on that feeling of, community and creativity. So
Yeah, it's fucking so sick, bro. I've taken so much gems from the factory you have there, just seeing it online. Like I think I said to you already, I want to get a factory at the end of the year to merge a bunch of shit together. And there's so many little pieces of that. I'm like, damn, I'm so taking that with me to do my
yeah,
one.
100%. And we want people to do that, bro. Like,
yeah.
Like, even other studios have reached out to us and been like, "I hate when people gatekeep shit." They're like, "Oh, what paint do you use on your cyclo armor or whatever it is?" I tell them straight away because we're like that. Everyone at the studio is like that, whether it's the FTA boys or whatever, because there's plenty of room at the table for everybody. Like, and it's just like, yeah, if you ever need help with any of that stuff, like, and anyone that's listening, like, just reach out because why would you want someone to struggle through trying to figure some shit out?
Yeah. I mean, I think for a long time we kind of felt like society in a whole, not just any industry we're a part of, felt like it was a competition-based system, and because it's a capitalistic system. So everyone, if you take something, people felt like they didn't get to take it now. But look at the film industry that we talked about before, where it's like TV shows have now just come through and blown up. It hasn't taken anything away.
Yeah.
Social media is on the same thing, and there's still low-key fucking things, you know what I mean? Like Game of Thrones, and none of that's going to ever stop.
No.
It's just people... I think someone said to me before, like, people are worried that there's not enough pie. Everyone wants to grab a piece of the pie, but the more pie you give out, the bigger the pie becomes.
100%.
You know?
And also, like, if you feel like, I don't know, maybe this is just how my mindset works, and I'm sure this doesn't apply to everybody, but if they got to a point where I was like, I'm not getting any work because I've told everyone all my secrets, then I'm not working hard enough.
Yeah.
Because the way I see it is, I'm happy to give people my secrets, because by the time they perfect what I've taught them, I'm already going to be, you know, on a different level. Like, if you're not constantly innovating your processes and constantly getting 1% better every day or whatever, you know, the facts are, it's like, you just never, like, you're going to become, that's why I'm talking about, like, lean in, leaning out before. If you don't lean into new things and adapt and try and level up every time, then people are going to catch you and just overtake you.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be left with no work. And then if that's the mind, but, you know, we've got a massive tall poppy syndrome thing in Australia too. If, you know, someone pulls up in a Lambo, they're like, oh, that guy must be a wanker.
Yeah, drug
Which,
dealer.
you know what? 50% of the time is probably true, but
Yeah.
there are nice people that like nice things too. And I think, yeah, I don't know, bro. It's a weird one, but yeah, to me, I'm like growing up, I remember so many other photographers just wouldn't. You'd ask, how did you do that effect? And they'd tell you 10% of it. Where it's like, if you just tell someone, it's not like they're going to steal your client or anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
you just got to make your own. Everyone has their own look and feel. Like you were saying, mine's kind of like that street looking stuff. Whereas some of my other friends have a much more polished look. And then some of my other friends have a more low budget look, but it works because it's like indie and underground. And
It's fucking sick, bro. I feel like if you train anyone to do anything, eventually they are going to become better at that than you.
100%.
But that's only in the thing that you're training them in. If you're now training them, you're now learning the skills it takes to be a mentor. And then through a mentor, you're going to have to learn people management. And the person who's learning this skill is never going to overtake you into what you're climbing to be, because, yes, they'll get there eventually, but now you're running corporations, you're running businesses.
Or you're retired.
Yeah,
You're kicking back.
there's nothing but greatness that can come from telling someone else everything you've learned.
100%.
Yeah.
I get like, bro, I would much rather like Seb or Josh or one of the youngins at the studio to do a job than me do it. Like the other day, I helped my friend out with his gym, just a bit of content here and there. And it's a relatively new business, so I don't charge them. I just do it because I enjoy it. And he like gave me some cash the other day and I gave it to Seb, and Seb was like, fuck, this is mad. Like Seb's only just starting to take on clients of his own probably the last year now. So to me, it's like, I'd rather just give that to him, and that feel that like watching him smile and be like pumped, it like brings back how I felt when I was like that. And I know that like Seb has the ability to be a much better creative. Same with Josh, all the youngins at the studio, they can all be way better than me. But I have my own goals and intentions, and I know where I'm gonna go, and theirs aren't the same as mine.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'd love for him to catch up and be as good as what I am, because I know that he's going to go down like some other super creative path. And
I can't wait for everything that's going to come out of it. The community aspect, the training, the online courses, all that stuff is phenomenal, bro. And I have nothing but faith that the feeling that people had when they say to you, like, oh my God, you got to work with Russel Crowe. I can imagine that same aura being something that like people worked out at New 7, people worked along Nickeh, people learned the skills, you know. Imagine everything that you learned with the exposure you got. You can be the person to give these kids that exposure. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Be that
bro.
name,
It's
like
a powerful thing.
Yeah, that's phenomenal, bro. Honestly, I can't wait to do another one in the future. I appreciate this offer of checking out the studio. I'd love to.
Yeah, come through whenever, bro.
I'd love to. I couldn't thank you enough for this episode, bro. Like, I
sweet,
have
bro.
got one final question I haven't asked you yet. All right, we haven't even touched on the subject, but it's something that I do like to bring up at least every episode. But it's just a way to wrap it up, all right? So if someone came to you because they were feeling depressed, mostly because they were lost, what advice would you give to them?
But I guess it depends, like, what they're going through, right? Like, full transparency, like, only, the start of this year, I was depressed myself. Not to a point where I was, like, you know, feel sorry for me or anything like that. I was just in a shit state. I was a bit lost. I was a little bit, like, unsure of some things. This is before the studio took off. I'm like, did I make the right choice? Like, I think what got me through it was just remembering why I started, and remembering, like, if you really have to, like, all right, let's say it's a creative person that's lost, right? That way I can relate to it a bit more. But I know if like you're a rapper or you're a photographer or a dancer, like whatever it is, you do that because you love it. So it's like if you're feeling lost about doing it, then you need to ask yourself, do I really love doing this, or am I doing this to make other people happy? I guarantee if you're a creative, you're probably doing it to make yourself happy. So you got to remember why you've done that, and you just got to go back, take yourself out of the current situation and go, okay, look at how far I've come since I started. And then I think what has helped me get through times like that is what we spoke about before is imagine if I could tell 15-year-old Nick that he'd have, I don't know, 50,000 YouTube followers or whatever I feel like 15-year-old me would have seen as important.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just got to, I think it's important to do that every couple of months, is take that, even if you're not feeling depressed, is to take a step back and go, all right, cool. Look what we've done in the last quarter, but don't get, I feel like where people go wrong is they get stuck like that, thinking I'm the man, I'm a legend. But it's like, no, you take it, appreciate it for a second, jump back in, get to the next level. And you also, like, I think what helps me out of those kind of depressed states I've been through as well is giving myself some structure. Like right now, probably doesn't look like it right now, but I've recently lost weight and I'm on the journey of losing weight right now, and I feel so, bro, every time I'd see someone, they'd be like, you look tired. I'm like, oh, I am a little bit tired, but I was just running 2 businesses, bro. I had no structure. I'd put on weight. I wasn't going to the gym, doing all this stuff. I need to give myself structure. I think that, again, if it was a creative person going through and going, okay, this is everything I got on my plate right now. Or if it's the opposite and they don't have anything on their plate and that's why they feel depressed, how can I get a little bit of work on my plate? So just giving yourself that structure of, okay, tomorrow I'm going to send out 50 emails, and if that doesn't work, send 50 more the next day until you get that one job. Then once you got that one job, do a really good job, word of mouth will spread. Before you know it, you're going to have 10 jobs. So it's like, depends what end of the scale they're on, whether it's looking for work or feeling stuck because they got too much work. But giving yourself like a structure to be accountable for. So for me right now, I'm not like one of these guys that's like, I get up and do an ice bath and do all this kind of stuff. And hats off to them because I couldn't do that. But I like make sure I go to the gym every morning. I'm feeling good by the time I get to work. And I got this little flag system on my computer now. I turn, if it's red, everyone in the studio knows, all right, leave him alone. He's like, because I get distracted easy, bro.
Yeah.
If my flag's red, I get through a bunch of shit and then I feel way better. Once I've got a little bit off my plate, I feel way better. And again, if it was the polar opposite and I got to work, I'm like, fuck, I got nothing to do. I got bills to pay. It's like, what can I do to just get one client on board? Because I know once I get one on, then the energy will bring more. So it's just structure and remembering why you started would be the two.
That's a great answer, bro. I love that too. It's almost being realigned because you could be depressed or lost for either end of that spectrum. I've never thought about it.
Bro, I get more depressed. Sorry, not that I get depressed all the time, but the times I have been depressed has been because of the having too much on.
Wow.
And not knowing. I like to keep everybody happy, bro, and that was a big thing I had to go through, is that you can't keep everyone happy. And I felt like I just, sometimes, bro, it's just, as I said before, I feel like this person's pulling me this way, this person's pulling me that way. But most of the time, it's honestly self-inflicted because I don't set boundaries with people. I don't say no to things. The times where I have been depressed has more been that end than having nothing on my plate. And if I have felt like I've had nothing on my plate, it's usually been like short-lived because I look back at how far I've come and I go, no, I can make this work. I'm going to make it work.
Yeah, I love that. That's a nice insight. I didn't really think about it from that side. I get most people, I guess, do feel depressed when there's not much going on, but I guess I understand the feeling of overwhelm as well. You know, it's definitely a balancing act for sure.
Bro, that's how, but again, the disguised green lights. I remember I was at a golf charity day 18 months ago and I had a million projects in the works and I posted I was at the charity day and my phone just went off. It was like, oh, you can play golf, but you can't do this. And it was like, that was the day I hired Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because she sent me an email that same day saying, hey, I'm looking for a job. I got experience in production and blah, 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 blah. And so prime example, I was like, that was a time where I was like, I would actually have like mini panic attacks at one point because I was like, get one thing done. The worst thing, bro, is when you are backlogged with work and you get one thing. Let's say you're my client and we shot 3 videos together. I finally get one too. I'm like, thank fuck, I got some breathing room with you now. I can do something for him. And then you go, sweet, when's the next one coming?
Yeah.
And you're just like, you don't see an end to it. So it's like, it gets times like that. And people just, bro, everyone wants to be your number one priority until it's invoice time. I'll tell you that much. And then they disappear. So it's like, for me, that red light was Tuesday. That aligned. I don't know if you want to call that like manifestation or meant to be or whatever from her end, maybe, because she wanted a job. And then that just all happened for me. It was just perfect. And she's been like the best thing we've done at the studio. She's the GOAT.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess you can. Yeah, I've never, to be honest, bro, I've never thought about it either. But the times that I have been, I guess, feeling down has been that end.
Yeah. Well, I love that. It's a good answer. It's definitely some, when I get a factory in a studio, I can't wait to hire a chick to help out, bro. I feel like they'd be the best help, bro.
Bro, they're the best, and they don't take shit. Like,
yeah.
Everyone, if Tuesday, like, she's obviously a very nice person. She's kind of quiet and fun and whatnot. But if she goes, who the fuck's taking the bin out or something? Everyone pulls up like, oh shit, okay, sweet, we'll do it. So she's so good, bro.
Yeah, gang. But I can't thank you enough for the time you've given me with this episode. Can't thank you enough for the effort you've made getting here, and I thank you for doing what you've been doing, chasing your dreams and your passions, because it's made a difference in my life personally.
That's cool to hear, bro.
I couldn't believe it. I was a fan of the 2/7 content, bro, but the further I dove deep, I'm like, you've been responsible for so much of the stuff that I've grown up watching. That's fucking
cool
insane.
to hear, man.
You know?
Really, it's a wigger for me too, bro, because as I said, they feel like different parts of my life, and the 2/7 crew weren't around for that part of my life. So it's funny when someone comes in the studio and they're like, "Oh, I used to watch you on YouTube," and everyone's like, "What? That's just Nick. Like, why are you?" It's honestly a wigger. I'm very grateful for those times, bro. But I need to I think I need to reflect on them more. Hey.
Yeah, for sure. I think you'd be surprised, honestly. I can't be the only person that's grown up to have multiple different phases of my life with skate parks, rap, and then now content creation of anything that's popular and things like that. You know, like I feel like there'd be a few people that you've definitely impacted with content. You know?
I appreciate that, bro. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you very much,
Thanks
bro.
for having me, man.
No, it's been
Real.
gangster for me, bro. It's been hectic.
Sweet.
Yeah, sweet. Well, for everyone listening, thank you for making it to the end of the episode. It was an amazing week this week. There'll be another one next week. That's a wrap.
Shawty catch a vibe, yeah,
Ready
I
for
had
it?
to put her on. Bought a 2-seater, yeah, we heading for the sun. Shawty got my high, I ain't tripping for the funds. Yeah, I won't start, I ain't tripping, I'm a stunt.